But when you measure it flat, it contradicts that. I'm spitting flat facts and that. And I know you don't like that. Google Maps is flat, it presents elevation profiles like that. I'm a spitting flat earth king. Sentence has a ring, doing my own thing. If earth was a big roast chicken, factually finger licking chicken, we just got the measurements missing. I'm spitting eggs and begs, begging the question lesson. I've said it before, time after time. I'm the spitting flat earth king of rhyme.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to Smith Tools and Purchase, Level Plain Poem, Vitali Z, Colton James, Survive the Spin, Thomas van der Zander, Measured Flat, Tiers Morgan, Mitch Kennedy, Rod, The Name's Burley, JMels24, Unimento, Iron 26, Retro Bill, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Harry Blade, Mobile Mac 777, Rob W, Delwes Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Texas Mike, Chow Yun Cat, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Links to Patreon are below this video. With that, I will hand across to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
But it was a dead topic. I thought they ended it with TFE.
I just didn't.
I want to know how flat Earth can go down on a ball.
Nice. I just happened to have a brush with Duffy this past week on another topic. And all he can bring up is flight paths. You just don't understand flight paths. So he's out. I think they're having trouble finding funding for their documentary, alleged.
As always, Duffy is making it about you and your comprehension, like that's relevant. You don't understand flight paths. Are you a pilot? Do you need to understand flight paths, Surf Daddy?
No, I don't. I keep telling him that. But yeah, he is the most annoying person I've ever come across. And he's persistent. And it's very frustrating. I can see why Toon picked him for his minion.
This so-called guy you just mentioned, he's on his way to the loony bin. You know that, right?
Yes, because he was chosen by someone else to be this big leader, and he is now going down the slope of insanity.
Yes, it's flight paths there with respect to a plane of reference. We already know that.
Oh,
Yeah.
I keep telling him that. He's just, you don't understand. You don't understand. My kids understand more than you do. He's just out of it. Ever
They
since he
understand how a compass works, do they? They understand how south is flat? They understand that?
That's a boring ass topic, Nathan. Boring. What about flight paths?
It is a boring topic. The people are the ones that make it interesting. I mean, seriously.
Precisely. Yeah, the topic itself is boring, right? What about flight paths? Okay, well, they're flying at an altitude parallel to a surface level called out by ground control in a direction that's flat. They calculate their descent with trig with respect to a flat plane and flight level parallel with it. All of these things are known facts that aren't very exciting. What's that? Some Christian pastor says I I'm taking it on my onus as opposed to yours, Surf Daddy, don't understand flight paths. I don't need to understand flight paths. I'm just some guy on the internet. But you, a pastor, feel it's incumbent on you to tell me, a guy inconsequential to parallel flight paths, how they work. Why? Shouldn't you be teaching people about Jesus? Aren't you a pastor? Stick to what you're good at.
He ain't good at that.
Best I can tell, most of these people just hate the word flat. They'll take horizontal, they'll take vertical for sure. They got vertical down because, that doesn't mean horizontal, that's vertical. But, you say flat, and that just gets their goat.
Their goat is consequential to people's lives on aircraft. Is their goat consequential to people finding their way back when lost at sea? Is their goat consequential to how we erect buildings with respect to a plane of reference? Is their goat consequential to how a compass works? No, so it's just them and their irritating nature, inconsequential to everyone else, becoming burdensome to everybody else around them in spite of their lack of consequence to the actual environment and how it operates. These people have taken it upon themselves to have outrage for something that they have no consequence on. It is pathetic. Meanwhile, like you say, I thought TFE was supposed to put an end to all of this by travelling a distance that's parallel to a plane of reference measured with a horizontal linear value in miles or kilometres in a direction that's on a compass and flat, to measure flat Earth elevation angles from Antarctica. That was supposed to put an end to flat Earth, apparently.
Also, a latitude-based system to arrive at.
Their mistake, in my opinion, was to tie this all to the AE North projection map and make it about the map being debunked. And, and of course, where are the guns? That was their mistake, is that they made
There
it
was a guy in chat the other day. There was a guy in chat the other day. He just wasn't getting it. He kept talking about how do you use celestial navigation in the South? How's it works? And what do you do in the South? They got a point now. I'm like, what point are you talking about?
Or
You
south.
demonstrating how it's measured flat. That's what I said. South is the direction, right? Flat. So what are you talking about? What point?
What he's done is he's reified south into an antipodal direction from the inside of the sphere from a plane of reference. So he thinks he's underneath north, upside down when he goes south.
Yeah, that's what Neil Sun does. Same thing Neil Sun does. Well, how do you explain the different rotational values for the stars in the south? You're like, south? Well, over there, points south. You're like, over there, there's stuff above you that rotates, and, well, I assume that over there is down there. You're like, well, it isn't. You're stupid. No offence to your son.
No, what's weird is the guy in chat, he's the flat earther. And I forgot who came in and mentioned something about the South, and he was really firm about it. I'm like, you're missing it. You're missing what South is. Is it not a flat direction? Yeah, but how we can't see what's the? It was back and forth. Then I gave up.
This might lead into what the suggestion John had this morning for someone to look into for your book. There's a channel. What was it, John? That you...
Truth Stream Media.
Right. And then you called them, ballers. So are they like true ballers, but just conspiracy nuts?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure on the position.
I did a look through their channels, and it doesn't look like they cover any flat Earth stuff, but they do seem really nice. It's a nice married couple, and they do good production work, and they've got some really good juicy conspiracy stuff on there. It might be an interesting tack with people like that who are either don't care or consider the ball, the flat Earth another one of those conspiracies that need to be hacked into and looked deep into and stuff like that, to be the person that explains to them how there's nothing to hack, there's nothing to look into, there's nothing to debate. Here, look, the Earth is flat. You can move on now. And if this reveals some other conspiracies to you, then that's great. But the truth is, this is how we measure it. This is how it works. And yeah, the Earth's flat. Welcome to flat Earth. All roads lead to it. And you could also, since they look like they're pretty good into the conspiracy stuff, you could also capitalize on the fact that it's all those conspiracies that funnel into flat Earth so that flat Earth becomes a conspiracy. You can go look. It's not a conspiracy because this is how we measure Earth. And just take it mellow and take it cool and answer the question. Oh, you mean south? South's flat. Et cetera, et cetera.
Buy him a compass.
You could bring visual aids. Look, here's the compass.
Aids
Which
for
way?
what?
One
Like,
of the good visual aids.
If you describe an aid for somebody who has a broken leg, it's a crutch, right? So they need the crutch because without it they can't walk. Is it the case that this person you're talking to won't be able to navigate without a compass? Or are they, more likely, utterly inconsequential to both how compasses function and the people manufacturing compasses? I'm going to go with the latter. That's to say, they don't need a compass, do they? The guy
They
is
might have
asking
some
you...
Boy
Let's
Scouts.
try a different way. The guy is asking you about antipodal positioning. Is he about to have some breakthrough in star navigation? Is that what this dude's about to do? The guy that's arguing with you about going antipodally when assuming a southward direction. I think it was Neil that brought it up. Is he about to have some breakthrough? Is he about to develop a map? Is this person about to come up with some new calendar? What is it that they're trying to achieve by telling you, random stranger on the internet, about how south, a flat earth only direction that we all understand, works? What's he using this for? Is he going to achieve something with it? Or is it just to tell you, random stranger on the internet, what's what so he can sniff his own farts? Having no consequence whatsoever to any of these things.
Yeah, he was just an internet guy. Probably like the whole South thing's got him confused. I don't know. It's supposed to be a flat
earther. So, flat earther. What is it exactly you're going to do with this information once you understand it? Because clearly you don't. That's south. It's not complicated. It's flat. How we use a compass has been long established before you were an itch in your dad's pants. So who gives a toss whether or not you understand what a compass does, flat earther? Go away and talk about 9/11 and COVID. Yeah, that's what you're for. That's your purpose here. Me, a real flat earther, I understand how inconsequential I am to how a compass works. Yeah, I'm not suddenly thinking that I've got to convince Duffy about what south is. I don't. Duffy's just as inconsequential. He's a pastor. He should be in front of a congregation talking about Jesus. What's he doing? Arguing with random Joes on the internet about how south works? Why? He's not in the compass-making business, is he? He's a wanker. What's wanking?
No, but what's...
Self-satisfaction that benefits nobody but the individual. That's what masturbation is. That's what Duffy's doing. Masturbating. He's not actually achieving anything other than to get his own little fart-sniffing endeavours achieved. I understand how antipodal south is. You don't understand what flight plans are. Who the fuck do you think you are telling people what they do and don't know, first and foremost? You're a pastor. You're not regulating flights, you stupid wanker. Why are you telling anybody anything about this, you dumbass? You don't have any consequence on what a compass does, Duffy. Get it through your thick skull. Stick to what you know, talking about Jesus. That's what you do. Not make maps, not make calendars, not make compasses, not plan flight routes. You don't do any of these things, you jumped up little tosser. Get it through your thick skull. You don't affect what south is, dumbass.
You see some of your comments on Friday's show?
Probably. I'll go through the comments. Time to do it now. I've stopped buying mics. So yes, I do look at the comments. There's a few people saying, oh, right, well, if you're saying we don't matter about this, then you're a bad guy. Like, okay, what you don't like is me saying that you're inconsequential, yeah? 10 years ago, you were a special little snowflake because you found out Earth was flat, weren't you? And I'm robbing that from you and going, you don't matter. Why? So I can say the same exact thing to Duffy, the wanker. You don't make compasses. You don't plan flights. You're not creating maps. You haven't developed the angle measuring systems to the stars. All of these things have been established for about 500 years. But you're arguing with some other guy on the internet about it. Why? Because you're a fart sniffer. So you can feel superior to the person you're telling. Like, Duffy, you don't understand? Sorry, Pastor Duffy, do you have a bearing on compasses? No, then you're just a wanker. A self-obsessed wanker, a masturbator, somebody jerking on his own dick so he can feel special for a few seconds. That's what Duffy is, a wanker. He doesn't have any bearing on any of this stuff. He's taken it upon himself like he's important. He's not. But what does that mean? Suddenly that I can still ascribe myself some sort of importance in this? No, that would be unreasonable. That would be a double standard. No, I understand implicitly that I have no bearing on what south, a flat earth only direction, is. I'm just a YouTuber talking about how flat south is. Talking about how elevation angle measurements are made from surface level to be ascribed the word elevation in the title. I'm just a guy describing how parallel eye level and surface level are in earth curve maths. These are mere observations for the amusement of my YouTube subscriber base. Now, if some of that subscriber base formally whiffed up their own farts and said, I'm so important, I understand how south is actually down. No, those people are idiots. Wankers who then go out and forcefully tell other idiots how wrong they are about how south is actually down. Wrong. Down is also perpendicular to a plane of reference. We understand this. We don't need to understand it. I'm not going to suddenly aggrandise myself into some important position because I understand what flat, perpendicular, vertical, horizontal, parallel, what these mean and how they are applied to Earth's surface, without exception. I'm not applying them. I didn't come up with the systems, and I'm not intending to go out and create any new mapping systems as a consequence of me finding out how it's already dealt with. So who gives a shit if these people walk away from flat earth debate because they go, my God, Nathan proved it was flat and then said that we didn't matter in the circumstance, that everybody around us who was making maps, putting up buildings, flying planes, navigating the ocean, they were already dealing with flat, making me utterly pointless in the circumstance. That's right, I am. That's what having a silver bullet means in this instance, that suddenly you don't get to call yourself important anymore. Now, you can blame me, I don't give a shit. This is an evergreen subject. There will always be this right now. Me having disdain about the people who feel that they can be wronged because I've taken away their importance. They didn't have any. So these people are good. Go away. You're delusional. You thought you're important. Now, I can laugh about it. I can empathise. I describe how I did go out and practically do things, track the sun for 24 hours. Twice, and how I thought that was important, how I sniffed the aroma of my own body. That's what I did. Now I get it. Did I make a new map? Did I come up with a new time-based system? Did I produce better navigation? No. And neither will you. These things are already established. Flat anyway. What's that? They're wrong because they've got ball distortions. Yeah. Go and moan at the map makers. If you're worried that you, who aren't doing anything with these anyway, will suddenly get it wrong with the stuff you're not doing anything with. Like it matters, like you're going to have your objections heard when they turn around and go, well, what were you using the map for? How has it caused you to be wrong? And you go, I'm not. I've got to tell a guy called Duffy he's wrong and doesn't understand. They'll look at you and go, we're being paid to produce these and sell these in shops so that people can and do find their way home with flat earth prerequisites. You're saying I need to change them because part of them doesn't work correctly because they've been distorted after globe projection. They're still flat maps. They still work with areas of equal elevation. They're still using the system of latitude and angle of elevation. They're all using these flat earth principles anyway. Oh, what, you're not happy about that? Because on top of that, you've got a distortion that affirms a Roman Catholic religious belief incorporated in from very clever mathematicians to give us some idea about our epicycles and our retrograde motion work. That's your problem. Get over it. You'll be all right. You're not going to get killed as a result of this, you dumbass. Me, being paid professionally to produce these maps, don't give a shit what you've got to say. In fact, they wouldn't even give you that dignified answer. They'd just put the phone down on you. That's what I'm metaphorically doing to people like Duffy. Putting the phone down. What's that? I don't have to step. Piss off. You don't waste my time.
Yeah, but Nathan, you have people that are saying that, it's very important that we we unfold the lies that we've been told.
So put it back on them.
Continue to go out.
So put the shoe back on the other foot for them. Go, okay, what's the importance? I've tried to illustrate this kindly to people in the audience, and they've chastised me for it in the comments. Okay, well, I'll just put it back on you then. What's the importance? I'll just grab a pen. What's that? To tell Duffy, you fucking wanker, why are you wasting my time? You're not going to come up with a better time-based system, yeah? You're not going to come up with better than minutes and seconds and hours. You're not going to do better than that. So let's cross that off the list, then. You're not going to be doing that. Are you going to come up with a new map? Oh, you're not. They're flat, work with elevation angles and horizontal distances anyway, so there's no real need. I will cross that off the list then. Sorry, just before I carry on, is there anything that you will offer a world you inhabit based on the fact you've just told me this is very important? No, there's nothing. Just your own self-aggrandization, your own fart sniffing. Is that it? Oh, no, by extension, actually projection. You want to tell someone else how they're wrong, do you? I want no part in it. Doing that for 10 years has meant that I've been told that I need to have my balls cut off, jump off tall buildings, and have my kids removed my presents. That I'm a child abuser. That's what I get. That I'm not worthy to breathe the very air we all inhabit. That's what I've been told for telling next man he's wrong. Well, now I don't care. My apathy is, unless you're going to do something with this information, don't waste my time with it. Now, who do I want to spend looking at? The people who do have a consequence, the people who are using the maps, the people who are navigating the ocean, building the buildings. They're the people we should focus on. The people actually achieving something in a practical way, not fart-sniffing wankers who want to tell next man he's wrong. I'm sick of all of you. Every last one of you, you're all wankers. Now, if you don't like me, good. Good. Because what I have got for you is a fucking reality sandwich. Now, if you don't like how unimportant you are, moan to somebody else. Meanwhile, there's people out there who have picked up a sextant and are capable of stopping people from dying should the need arise. There are people out there erecting buildings, and there are people flying. It's just not you. Those processes were flat anyway. You didn't need to get involved. But by getting involved, it created a separate subgenre you could call Flat Earth. You're the problem, not me. I'm going to detach myself from that group of people, conspiratard idiot fart-sniffing wankers, who tell other people they're wrong, based on knowledge they're not using. They're not putting it into practical application. They're not doing anything with it. So why should I give two shits what you say is important? You're not producing a new clock. You're not producing a new map. You're not producing waypoints for aircraft. You're not measuring sea level. You're not doing anything useful. So get over yourselves.
Well, the useful thing they're doing in their mind is unsubscribing from you and unsubscribing from me.
Good.
So
Good. Go away. Attach yourself to people who point fingers and tell other men they're wrong, whilst achieving nothing. That's what they're doing. Now, meanwhile, this subject, the flat earth debate, will continue to rage on with me as an onlooker, looking down my nose at you. So don't let the door hit you on the way out if this offends you, me telling you how inconsequential you are. Because in your mind, you've changed the world already. I've heard it in my comments. Or you think you changed the world? I'll get my pen and paper again. Name 5 changes. Oh, there isn't a single change that you've actually afforded anybody with. So why are you telling me that I need to stop telling you how inconsequential you are because you've helped the world along to finding out it was flat? It was flat anyway, and that's how it was being dealt with anyway. Now, all that's really happened is a group of people have recognised that they're in a religion. Now, there's certain people that do the same. I aspire to the people who leave Scientology and then look inwards, because it becomes an interesting folly to produce entertainment on a YouTube channel. That's what the Growing Up in Scientology channel does. He looks inwards from the outside. Now, they occasionally drag him and actually get him arrested as well when he oversteps that line. Well, I'm just going to draw the line. There isn't one currently. I'm going to draw one. I'm going to put a big circle around a bunch of conspiratard fart sniffers and go, they call themselves Flat Earth. Flat Earth is geography. That's what real Flat Earth is. It's how we measure Earth. You don't need to argue with me about how it's done, because I don't have any influence on it. Go and argue with a map maker. Go and argue with an air traffic controller calling out flight levels. Don't argue with me. If you want to argue with someone, go and argue with these people I've put a big circle around and called fart-sniffing, inconsequential flat earthers. They are who you should argue with, not me. I just want to sit here talking about how geographically flat we've appreciated the world is, now that after the fact, after leaving the fold, after walking outside that circle, that's also got a load of heliocentrists in there that want to tell those people in that fart-sniffing circle that they're wrong about how south is down. Those people are mad, insane. Duffy, listen up, you're nuts. You don't need to tell me what south is. You don't have any authority in the matter. But here you are, sniffing your own farts, telling people they're wrong about something that's being used in practical terms. Just not by you. You paid somebody to fly you there, you fucking retard. To where? South! That's what you paid for. You were even incapable of doing it when you did it. Other people did it for you. The real men did the donkey work of measuring Earth flat. And then pretend men did an inconsequential angle measurement off a flat surface to tell other people they were wrong about how flat it isn't. Hello! These people are nuts. They're toxic. Now, if you appreciate what I'm doing, you'll go, yeah, bloody hell. I was also told to cut my own balls off. Only yesterday I was told to jump off a building. Yeah? Then you'll appreciate that you don't need to be with those people anymore. They're degenerate scum. But you want to tell them they're wrong? Why? Walk the hell away from them. They will only land you in jail. That's what they'll do. Now, if you want to involve yourself with degenerate scumbags, you, not me, be my guest. Just don't involve me with it anymore. I now know for sure and without a doubt Earth is flat. I can now accept how inconsequential to that fact that's already in practical application I am. But it means with absolute righteous indignation and fury, I can point out how other fart sniffers try and drag us back into a so-called debate about it. There isn't one! Be happy and leave that horrible wankers, fart sniffers and degenerate scumbags to their own demise. I assure you, they'll all die eventually. It's just how life works.
Yeah, I had the same kind of problem about 2 years ago in 24/7 Flat Earth Discord when I said, don't you guys think it's more important that we prove it's flat than, prove that it's not a ball? And I got more hate from them than I did the ballers.
It's already flat. You've got to accept how flat it is to argue that you're on a ball. You're taking elevation angles from minimums to derive R values, to turn spherical and put inside systems that you move around a spherical body you've measured the distance in a horizontal and linear fashion with. It's ludicrous. Now, upon realising this, you, the flat earth fart sniffers, have to accept sea level measurements, elevation angle measurements for latitude, south being down, to argue with these wankers. So do it away from us. We know it's just geography now. The magic trick's over. The magician's shown us what's in the hat. Now it's just roll your eyes time. But you're like, no, we need to argue with him about where in the fourth dimension the rabbit came from. No, we don't need to do that anymore. You can do that. Away from me.
Let's get it on.
Good morning. Good morning.
Geographic debate. Yay.
John's moaning. So, as much as he wanted the ends, the people appreciate how flat Earth actually gets measured rather than how ball-shaped it isn't, when the ball's utilising flat Earth measurements to create it. He's now buying into this is eye-roll worthy, boring when we talk about geography. Flat Earth has been created into a debate, and that debate is something that we are going to start detaching ourselves from so that we can look down our noses at the fart sniffers who argue with other men who are inconsequential to the actual subject matter about how flat it is or isn't, when they suggest with flat Earth measurements that they're on a ball or suggest that we're not on a ball. Now, I'm deciding to draw a big fat chalk circle around these people and call them the fart-sniffing flat earthers and anti-flat earthers. More accurately, the fart-sniffing anti-flat earthers and anti-globers. That's what they are. Now, here, us, on Flat Earth Debate, we all appreciate that Earth is measured flat anyway. Nothing we, if we want to call ourselves flat earthers, do has any consequence on how a compass works, on how a map is useful, on how distance is a horizontal measurement. None of those things are consequential to me in terms of how epicycles and retrograde motion has been described after the fact based on a church that owned all the telescopes and wanted maths to explain these things is again long established and in direct violation of the actual measurements that are being practically applied to a flight when its altitude is measured parallel to the flat ground, when a flight controller instructs them to ascend to a certain flight level, when they use trig to descend a flight path onto the ground, they are using flat Earth prerequisites to make those measurements. These are facts. They're just not facts that are being used by me, the fart-sniffing flat earther, when I start telling next man he's wrong about how ball-shaped it isn't. So, ultimately speaking, we can now look at this from a psychological point of view, not from a geographical point of view. We already know the score. Not only do we know it, we know it's already being used and never stopped being used. Earth as a flat plane being measured as an axiom for Earth measurement never stopped being the case, ever. At no point in history will they have to alter or memory hole any of the measurements of Earth's flat surface after this debate that wasn't really a debate stops. So when people say, I'm changing the world, no, you're not. The world's measured flat by people who aren't you. What you wanted to do was tell someone they were wrong about the religion they were bought into via their, no doubt, state-based education. That's what you want to do. Tell people that they're wrong. Now, I can speak from 10 years' experience when I say that telling another man that he's wrong leads that other man to tell you that you should have your balls cut off, you should jump off a tall building to prove gravity, and have your kids removed by social services. That's what telling next man he's wrong about his religious belief will get you. Yeah? Now, why would you want to engage in that? I suggest you shouldn't. Oh, right, but there's some guy called Duffy, a pastor, who paid other real men to navigate Earth at a flight level they were instructed to from flight control and travel in a flat Earth-only direction, has told you that you're wrong about how south is actually down. This people are nutters. Duffy's a nutter, yeah? I don't know if he got a parole, but he's out and about telling people that they're wrong. Why? He's a pastor. You understand that you're arguing with your priest about the Roman Catholics' view of heliocentrism. You understand that, right? Because he hasn't got any bearing on it. He didn't come up with these systems of heliocentrism. His defence of them on behalf of the church won't change how flat maps are, or how linear and horizontal distances are, or how south is a flat earth-only two-dimensional directionality. Nothing a pastor says will change that. But what does the pastor get out of it? Well, he gets to sniff his own aromas, doesn't he? Masturbation of the mental variety. That's what he's doing while he tells you you're wrong. Well, ignore him. Walk away from that nutcase and say, why would I want to engage myself with you? I know what Earth is. In fact, that in and of itself is redundant. You don't need to tell him that you understand and appreciate how a map works. You aren't dealing with maps. You're not coming up with a new clock. You're not developing a better time system or calendar. You're not erecting any buildings, and you're not flying parallel with the surface level by the instruction of ground control. You're not finding your way home in a circumstance at sea where you've got lost and need to measure the Earth flat with elevation angles. You aren't doing any of these things when you tell next man he's wrong. So stop wasting everybody's time from both perspectives, from both flat Earth prerequisite perspective of a ball and from the anti-globe rhetoric of we're not on a ball, we see too far. You're all wasting everybody's time. And me, I know how valuable my time is. Now, I have spent the fruitful 10 years of realising this fact, producing content. This is show 2,500, which means that I've spent a very prolonged period doing exactly what I love, with a YouTube hat on, talking to fantastic people around me. But because I'm telling other people, was past tense, telling them that they're wrong, they felt the need to suggest that I should have my kids removed, that I should have my balls cut off, and that I should end myself. I'm not worthy of the air that we're breathing. That was the most recent one. That I shouldn't be breathing. That's what I get told. Now, I don't want to involve myself with those people anymore. And if you think it's your due diligence, okay, I've got a pen and a bit of paper. Tell me what you're developing. Is it a new clock? It's not. Is it a new mapping system? It's not. Is it a new way of flying the waypoints instructed by ground control at a flight level? It's not. Are you coming up with a new compass? New directionality? You're not. So, pray tell, how are you consequential to any of this shit? Because every single one of those things is happening anyway. Isn't it? So you want a golden bullet, you want to know Earth's flat, it is. But it was dealt with that way by professionals being paid to deal with it that way, not you. You didn't need to know. You got your state education from a 500-year-old Roman Catholic rhetoric about Earth moving around the sun to explain how a couple of lights move their pattern back one the following night. That's it. That's what they were trying to explain. In a cycle of lights in the sky. What's that? That means we're standing on a sphere. Okay, good for you. On you go. Should I be concerned about being on a sphere? The same exact things apply. Oh, we're on a sphere, you say. Sorry, were you developing a new mapping system? You're not. Were you developing a new flat Earth directionality that we get from compasses? Oh, you're not. Were you developing a new way of erecting buildings on level ground? You're not. What about anything whatsoever that should make me believe that your heliocentric worldview is of any consequence to anything that gets practically applied to Earth and its flat surface? Oh, there isn't anything, but you need to tell me, a YouTuber, that I'm wrong. Why? Oh, right. Oh, of course it's masturbation. Yeah? Mentally, you're just wanking yourself off. Yes, you are, yeah. Yeah, do it somewhere else. It's gross. You stink of your own farts, and you're disgusting. You're an intellectual pervert, and I don't want any part of what you do anymore.
Well, there is the dopamine response of the gotcha question that they try to set up, where they ask you a malformed question and then try to limit your response to either yes or no so they can try to make you look like you're stupid.
I mean, I wouldn't mind if I had some consequence in the matter. So it's like, if you think that you're getting a gotcha by putting some malformed question to me, it's like, have you raised me up on a pedestal where I have a bearing on how the ground gets measured for maps? No, you're talking to the wrong person, you fart-sniffing wanker. You think me, a flat earther, on YouTube is going to affect how the ground got measured for the maps? Am I affecting how kilometres are utilised? No. Oh, but you, a fart-sniffing wanker, has taken it upon yourself to tell me I'm wrong? All right, because that's going to change the world, isn't it? Yeah? Delusional much? You're not arguing with the map makers and the people out at sea saving lives? No, because they'd probably drown you for trying to put everybody else at risk when they're trying to save their lives. That's probably what they'd do to you. Just drown you. Yeah? This person saying that we can't use elevation angle measurements off a flat surface so we can find where we are in this boat that we found ourselves on, having the main ship sunk. We're all desperate. We want to get home. This guy says no. South's not flat. Directionality's antipodal positioning on a globe, derived from a radial value we got from the latitude system that we definitely aren't measuring flat. That's not the ground. Just get drowned. That's what would happen to you in those life and death circumstances. You become a hindrance to everybody else's lives, don't you? Yeah? When you're telling them how wrong they are about how not the ground you're measuring is. Okay, maybe that person would get their phone signal and go, check it out. I've gone to Sustainable by Design and it says that the plane you're measuring from is imaginary. So I'm going to chuck your sextant in the sea because it's not the ground. You understand? It's not the ground. It's imaginary. The ground they've just defined as us measuring with an angle to find our position so we can not die here on this boat. I say not the ground. It's imaginary. Again, you just get chucked off the boat as being a hindrance, you nutcases. But you're not doing it on a boat, are you? You're not out at sea in a life and death circumstance where you'd probably get pushed out of the boat. No, you're arguing with a YouTuber about it in a hypothetical that you're not involved in because you've aggrandised yourself where you are the all-important person on that dinghy saving everybody's lives by telling them that South is down. No, that's not saving anybody's lives, is it? In fact, you're a complete hindrance. You're going to kill people if you're not careful.
Hey, Nathan, is it possible that remember how we talked about it in the context of it's like heroin addiction almost? That's how useful it is. Is the fart sniffing what they're self-aggrandizement? Is that what their addiction is, you think? Or
yeah, absolutely. It gives them a nice little rush if they can prove that the next man's wrong based on word salad that they've learned. Well, I was trying to explain this to my wife yesterday. We were editing chapter 9. I'm trying to explain to them when she's yawning, right? She's yawning because I'm trying to explain to her retrograde motion and what the church are doing and how they're trying to explain it, how the system's been measured. And while I'm telling her, she's falling asleep. And I went, okay, it is boring, but that's by design. Why? Well, because it's got to achieve two different things. One is a dweeb with jam jar lenses who's about this tall with a little penis. It's got to be just complicated enough for him to be able to understand it when he puts a little bit of effort in, because it's about Star Wars, right? So he learns about retrograde motion and orbital motion and gravitational accretion and bending and warping fourth dimensions. And after he's learned this, in his mind, he's the king. If he was in a bar and this came up in conversation, he could stand on the frickin' table and ask for a hushed silence while he delivers his speech on orbital motion, because he is secretly the king of this information. Why? Well, because it's also got to serve a second purpose, where it makes people like my wife fall asleep and go, I don't actually care about this. It's really boring. Yeah, it's actually just sent me to sleep, literally. But it's good to know that you, Jam Jar Glassface, have learned about this, because it means I don't have to. I can get on with more interesting things. But I'm glad that there's experts out there that understand how orbital motion works. Okay, so now we've got the players set. Average Joe, the guy who goes, what difference does it make? I've still got to pay my mortgage. The guy who falls asleep when he hears you talking about gravity. And you, the fart-sniffing, wanker, self-aggrandizing guy who wants to get his dopamine rush by telling next man he doesn't understand or is wrong about what they've learned. Those are the players. Then we come along and go, doesn't matter if you understand orbital motion. It has absolutely no bearing on anything whatsoever. I mean, unless you're going to turn it into something practical. Were you planning on making a new calendar? And they go, boom, and explode in rage. A kind of rage that says the man that's saying this should have his kids taken off him. That's what happens. Because we're robbing them of the only thing that they got to elevate themselves above a society that looks down their nose on them. Yeah? Yeah, that's right. The guy goes out and learns how a telescope works, so he can learn how orbital motion works, so he can learn how retrograde motion works, and bent pseudo-geometry from Einstein's field equations. That person is smarter in their mind than everybody else, and we're robbing that from them. Now, that is all they had. Therefore, I should have my kids taken off me. That's how it works. It is as simple as that. We're robbing them of the one thing that they don't actually get a dopamine hit from, their imagination that they can stand on the table at the bar and tell everyone to be quiet while they describe how orbital motion works. That's just a fantasy. In their mind, it's never actually happened. And when it had, you know what happened? Made them even worse. While they started talking about it, the people at the table went like this. What? Oh, I'm glad you learned about this because I find it boring. That's what happened. And that made them even more rageful, right? Because this stuff's very important and you should know how important it is. There could be a rock coming to kill us. So you better understand, Normie. And the Normie goes, I still got to pay my mortgage tomorrow. And that makes them even more rageful because this person just doesn't understand. And they're right, because they don't care, do they? So what do you need? You need an adversary, somebody to stand in opposition to them. Go on, mute. Go on, mute. An adversary to come along and say, I do smoke in a joint or a bong. I do understand how orbital motion doesn't work. Also, have you heard about 9/11? Yeah, that person can actually be wrong and wants to oppose the glass-eyed, fart-sniffing wanker. That's our players. That's the game. Now, to conclude this, as somebody ruined it off mute for no reason, we can push all those people to one side. Now, Neil asked in the pre-show, which is why I'm going through all this, well, there's people saying that they want to unsubscribe from you. I'm like, what, the fart-sniffing anti-globers who want to tell themselves that they've somehow made a difference to the world? Sorry, was it a new map? It wasn't. Was it a new compass? It wasn't. Was it a new calendar or time system? It wasn't. Was it new waypoints? It wasn't. Did you find a new way of people not dying at sea in terms of their celestial navigation and use of a sextant with angles off a flat Earth? None of the above. Sorry, pray tell, how do you justify to me how important you are in this subject? You're not. It's just a fact. You knowing that Earth is flat didn't change how any of those things are functioning anyway. Just not by your hand. So let them go. Bye-bye. Yeah, every so often as a YouTuber, sod flat Earth for a moment, YouTube hat, you've got to redevelop yourself every now and again. So what are we going to be doing moving forward? Well, we can assess it from the outside, like other people who don't really care that much. Joe Rogan recently fell into this category. He's prepared to have a discussion because he's got a show with a guy who produced Quentin Tarantino movies. He can argue with him for half an hour. I'm sure he doesn't give a crap once the cameras stop rolling. That's Joe Rogan. Lucky bastard. I envy him. So he can have an argue about it from a complete position of ignorance and then forget about it afterwards. Yeah, he can. Does he recognise that's because he doesn't have any bearing on this and he just wants to retain his space faith? No. He just wants to retain his 12-year-old boy's faith in a space that gave him Star Wars. That's it. Let him. He doesn't have any bearing on the maps. He's not producing a new time system. And him not being right about how flat we measure Earth is inconsequential to how flat others that aren't Joe Rogan measure Earth. Now, I like that. I like it. I do know, but I wouldn't want to self-aggrandise and sniff my own farts by telling him how wrong he is. I'd rather tell him how right he is. Yeah, your heliocentrism with your flat Earth radial value, minimum elevation to Polaris. Or derivation of measuring mountains with trig off flat plains. Cool. Yeah, that gave us the answers to retrograde motion, kinda. It was epicycles formerly. Not anymore, thanks to the church. Because Rogan's all for the church. And their rhetoric of explanations for the Lite movement, he's defending it, temporarily, till he loses interest. Yeah, good. We are that now. We can take it upon ourselves to look from the outside in on all of these fart-sniffing wankers who argue with each other like they've got some bearing on how the maps or time works. They don't. I'm done.
Nathan, don't forget, Nathan. What's really what the problem is their lion is gone. They can't put their lion on a leash and bring him into other platforms and have the lion tear apart ballers so they could live vicariously through you. That's a big problem now.
I would have disagreed with you until you said live vicariously, because you're talking about the flat earthers who just enjoy me being that metaphorical lion, being whipped by a whole society that wants the world to be spherical based on their state-based educations, and me coming along and biting their heads off. But that, again, aggrandises myself until you say vicariously. Yeah, it means that they don't have to. The people that have opposed them when they've shared how special a snowflake they are and condemned them and suggest that they should have their kids removed also, they want vengeance. They want revenge. And I give it to them. Past tense. Gave it to them. Well, those people can get lost too. You want to see me biting the heads off ballers? No. Now, if I'm ever going to get onto some show like Joe Rogan, it's not going to be by being a lion. Quite the contrary. He's not going to have me on his show so he can talk about my fighting prowess. Because he's got actual experience in real men fighting with each other. So by comparison, dweebs flapping their hands against fart sniffers isn't as exciting as MMA, is it? But as his equal, somebody who's got a vague interest in Earth because it's come up on his show, or he has genuinely got an interest in Star Wars, that might be something that actually affords me a position on Joe Rogan's show. As long as he doesn't watch and go, this person's just going to tell me I'm wrong for an hour. Who wants that? Nobody.
It's kind of funny, though, if you think about it, because people would want you to do the lion routine, but then they would want to come and fuss at you for how vicious you were with the lion tamers. And then now that you're saying I'm done with all that, they're upset
Yes.
too?
He's
Very
losing
small.
them on both sides.
It's not stereotype, right? We're talking about a tiny, tiny, tiny percentage of people when we make this comparison, right? We're not talking about all flat earthers. For the most part, I've got nothing but nice comments from people as per usual. It's business as usual in terms of people's appreciation for what we collectively do here on Flat Earth Debate. But there's a tiny little proportion of people that did sniff their own farts, that did want to tell next man that they were wrong, and they didn't have the balls to go out and do it. So therefore vicariously enjoyed me telling ballers they were wrong. Past tense. Those people are a little bit upset. Very small, tiny little... And every single one of them, they've got the same response from me. Don't let the door at you on the way out.
I think it's a little more than a very small. There's quite a few of them, at least 10.
At least 10. Yeah, I mean, you're probably right. It's probably about half a dozen people, 5 or 6 people that have turned around and gone, I don't like this. No, we are important. We're changing the world with Flat Earth. You're like, in the most literal sense, you're not. The maps are already flat. Flight levels are already flat. The system of elevation angle measurement to acquire latitude was always flat. It always will be, and it's currently being utilised on a daily basis by people who are being paid to use it. So you're not changing anything. You don't need to. That's the point. But you wanted to feel important. You want to be a special snowflake. I'm talking to half a dozen people. The rest of the people are like, really? This is a relief. The amount of people that have told me, by contrast, right, so it doesn't sound all doom and gloom, man, I didn't quite get what you meant when you said just get on with your day 6 months ago. It didn't make any sense to me. Get on with my day? Well, Duffy's telling me I don't understand flight paths. You're like, no. Now I understand how it doesn't concern me. But that's to be phrased with a different intonation. So it doesn't concern me? I don't need to be concerned. I can just know it's flat and get on with more exciting things than having some fart-sniffing wanker tell me my kid should be taken away. Wow, thank you. Yeah, that's right. You don't need to worry about it. It's not a big deal. That's what I meant by that. It's not a big deal for you. It always was, is, and always will be measured flat by everyone, always, if they're measuring Earth. You weren't, though. And even if you, like me or Simon Dan, took it upon ourselves to go and acquire elevation angle measurements from a flat planar surface to describe degrees of the sun, you won't be making a difference either. That's not going to give us a new calendar. It's not going to give us a new map. It's not going to give us new waypoints. It's not going to change how a compass works. It's not going to change how Cartesian GPS is. Everything's flat anyway. So don't delude yourselves. Feel relieved. Feel it's over. You don't need to concern yourself because you are enlightened. You can be Zen too. You can sit there going, I don't care. Go away. You want to believe that you're on a ball? Fine. I don't feel compelled to tell you how perpendicular to a plane your upward vector is. I don't care. I know you don't. I don't want to be around people like you. That's what you should be thinking. Not, I feel compelled to tell you how wrong you are. Well, this person said that I'm wrong. Okay, that easy to taunt? You easily that baited? Okay. Again, I don't want those people around me. They're trouble. They're the girl that you used to go out with that was really pretty, but got a bit mouthy with really big guys when she had a couple of drinks down her. She's a liability. Now, she might be nice to look at, but ultimately speaking, she's going to get your teeth knocked out eventually when she screams at some monster of a man about how he's got a little penis and how she's not going to sleep with him. Suddenly, that guy who won't hit her will hit you. Yeah? That's what that girl is. The guy or girl in flat Earth that says, I am making a difference. Eventually, I'll get the whole world to wake up by telling them all how wrong they are. You're like, oh, okay, so you're a gamma too then? Another secret king. Because who's going to do it? Oh, of course, you are. Very important. What's that? You don't want to do it because you don't like being told that your kid should be taken away. So you want me to do it for you? Fuck off. Go and get into that circle with the other fart-sniffing wankers. Because I'm done with you. Oh, good. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. For everyone else, feel relieved. Not only have you achieved what you wanted the whole time, Earth to be recognised as flat, know that it already was. That you were being dragged into a game so that you could be held up as a poster child of a conspiracy theorist to make flat Earth a conspiracy so that they can get away with, that's ball utilisers, with using flat Earth measurements to create their religious belief in a ground that violates the very measurements that they're using. They too, when they argue with you and tell you don't understand. It's like, weren't you travelling south recently? And laugh at them. But more importantly, get away from them quickly. They're a liability. They'll get you in trouble eventually.
Well, every time we... Go ahead, John.
No, Neil, you go ahead. I was just trying to ag Nathan on to say more. Go ahead.
I was going to say, every time we take the next step in this, whatever you want to call it, topic, it always seems to meet resistance, but then people catch on.
Well, it's one of those things, they say, well, okay, well, now that we know it's flat, what do we do now? Nothing. You don't have to do anything.
Now that we know what, because it was really important that you knew, and now you do. Well, You know that it's being dealt with flat by other professionals. So it didn't matter that you knew. Yeah? Now that's a bit of a downer. Now, if only that could be spun into, I'm going to change the world! Suddenly you're the secret king, aren't you?
So what if somebody decides that they want to create a new map and figure out time zones? I mean, they're doing something positive, right?
Yeah. Then you've got to get involved with the bureaucracy and the commercialism and do a better job than the people who are already producing maps. You've got to outperform the Ordnance Survey. Good for you. Now that's something I can get behind, Neil. What's that? You do want to develop a better time system. Fantastic. You want to replace watches? Good for you. That sounds ambitious. That sounds like you're going somewhere. I can get right behind that. Let me know when you're done.
Well, there is something that can be done with calendars. The leap year system is not a good system at all.
No.
That's neither here nor there.
Well, it is either there. Where did that come from? Who and why were calendars created? Oh, right, it's a log of time. I wonder how we got that. Oh, was it off a flat plane? Was it measurements of angles? Yeah, it was, yeah. Yeah, it was, yeah. Like all roads, this is no exception. They all lead to a flat Earth anyway. Didn't need you to walk it, did it? That path will be there when you're dead. So you didn't need to walk along a conspiracy-ridden path where you were very vocal on the path. That wasn't necessary. The path was already flat, the distance you travelled was already measured horizontal, it was already mapped and charted, and you were carrying a frickin' compass. Yeah? Arguing with the people around you fell down the hills of conspiracy and globe Earth belief to tell you that your directionality was wrong. Meanwhile, compasses were still being sold, maps were still being used, distances were still being measured. We still had all of the cartography. We still had all of the elevations from sea level, regardless of whether or not you found it out, making you inconsequential. But what's that? You're going to change the world, aren't you? No, you're not. You have to like it. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. There was a lot of special snowflakes out there in the Flat Earth community. Very special snowflakes. Telling everyone how important it was to understand their latest conspiracy. Now, what do you know? It's not a conspiracy, it's just geography. And it was being used anyway. In fact, a lot of you were all taught it anyway, weren't you? You just forgot when you were taught how a compass worked. You forgot, did you? Yeah, well, it still works the exact same way it was taught to you. So don't worry about it. It'll still get along just fine without you needing to be involved in the process. You know, you still got your horizontal linear distances and your Cartesian systems used in your GPS. They all function quite happily. What's that? You got a sat-nav? Yeah, so you are using a flat Earth system. You just didn't know. What's that? You thought that the title global positioning system meant that it was anything other than the Cartesian grid that was being utilised, with measurements from stars with angles off a flat Earth and horizontal distances of miles and kilometres. Oh, well, now you know you were wrong. That just means you were wrong. You had a religious belief that stood in violation of those measurements that are actually practically applied to the Earth. But they were a practical application of Earth measurements long before you were even born, and they'll still be the case after you're dead. And no one needs to know any different because it's still being used that way regardless of if they believe that they're standing on a curved ground that won't give them linear distances in kilometres. I mean, that won't matter, like, at all. It'll still be used, you're not consequential to it. But should you come up with a new calendar, or a better explanation for the retrograde motion of the lights in the sky, or a better system of waypoints that are ascribed by your government when they tell you what territories you can investigate via the government-paid systems and waypoints they must follow to arrive at certain destinations. You can come up with a better system, you say. Well, I wish you the very best with the red tape and bureaucracy. Good for you. Oh, you don't want to do any of that. Maybe you can get someone else to do it and you can live vicariously through their actions and cheer about how you're going to be changing the world to better waypoints and better horizontal planar claims. They're not. They're how the flight controller demands you ascend the plane parallel with the surface level, measured with a altitude from sea level. So you don't hit mountains. So you don't think there's a void opening up ahead of you when you go down with the trig that you calculate parallel to a plane of reference. All of those things are happening anyway. You just didn't have any bearing or influence on them. Knowing that that is actually the case, Doesn't change anything, does it? Shocking. Like I say, that lost me half a subscriber. One by the time that the show's gone out for a week.
Yeah, I still don't understand why they would want to leave. I don't get it. But, like, I do understand some people are just, dweebs. I guess it's the only thing you can call them. Like, they're on both sides. And they're the ones making this topic so toxic.
Yeah. The toxicity is as a direct consequence of people having internet brave pills. So they've got a suppressed rage and anger that never comes to the surface. Now, me, I've got plenty of rage and anger. I know my monsters. I've seen them. They come to the surface occasionally, and I can cope with them, get them under control, shove them back in the cupboard, knowing full well that they're there. No locks needed. Now, there's other dweebs who've suppressed this inner anger because were they to express it, it would end badly for them. So it's been suppressed. And then they found a little outlet, the internet, where they can take their internet brave pills and let this part of their persona out of a cupboard without any understanding of it, without any control over it. And their vitriol and their general demeanour is disgusting. Why? Because it's the type of demeanour that they would never, ever dare display in public. Those are facts. Again, this has got me quite a lot of ridicule recently when I'm highlighting this to our opposing side as dweebs. Because they are. Their general demeanour would not be tolerated in civilised society. Not on the internet. The internet isn't civilised. Far from it. But out in the real world, they'd have their teeth knocked out and their heads stamped on for behaving the way that they do online. Why? Internet brave pills. But the most toxic people, the most vitriolic people, are the people that have kept those monsters suppressed because they've had to. And finding an outlet means that they can carry on with their vitriolic, despicable ways, basically unchecked. Not only unchecked, but fed. People on our own side feed those dweebs. Make them believe that they are the kings that they secretly thought they were, when they give them the credence of the discussion that they have no bearing on. We have been guilty of elevating these tosspots. I'll give you an example. A pastor who thinks that he has some bearing on directionality, flight level, distance measurement, or elevation angle measurement, all of which are flat Earth prerequisites, when he tells people who say Earth is not a globe that they are wrong. This kind of inconsequential fart sniffer has aggrandized themselves to the point where they do think that they have a bearing on Earth and what it is, to the point that they'll make declarations like they are going to end flat Earth with a trip where real men actually transport them from A to B. That's what's happened. It's like you couldn't even get yourself there. You needed other men who were instructed by a ground control to ascend to a certain flight level and travel in a certain direction so that you could land and then measure Earth flat with angles. But in your mind, you're changing the world, aren't you, pastor? Okay, you're not. You're delusional. You're idiotic. You're somebody that I don't want to associate with. These are just facts. Now, they don't like that because they genuinely believed they were the secret king when they weren't.
No, Nathan, we couldn't go there because you said we get turned around at gunpoint when you used to debate flat Earth. Now you're saying there's no debate.
There isn't. Again, popping me on a pedestal is the same by comparison. If you can project your own self-aggrandization in importance next to somebody else who you raise upon a pedestal equal to you, no, both of you are inconsequential. Me being the arbiter of whether or not the Chilean government escort people away at gunpoint. They do. It's happened twice since I've been in this subject. But whether or not I've said it versus whether or not people who filled out a lot of forms and then had real men transport them at a flight level parallel with the surface level, descending with trigonometric functionality measured with respect to a plane so they didn't crash into the ground. Those people then measured elevation angles, and when pointed out that they're measuring flat Earth prerequisites, told me that there weren't any guns there. Yeah, again, raising me up to the importance of whether or not artillery is being utilised versus whether or not you're using a flat earth measurement to suggest you're on a ball. Both are inconsequential. It's just a fact. Now, when you see that reflection in me saying I'm inconsequential, it makes you feel small on the flat earth side. I get it. The anti-ballers thought they were going to change the world. And I come along and go, no, it's not really important. It's flat anyway. Didn't matter. You go, no, changing the world I am, secretly the king. I'm the one who's going to disseminate this information to the whole world. Very important stuff. No, it's delusional. Well, actually, this pastor told me I'm wrong. Yeah. But now I get to the nub of what's going on here. You felt offended because a pastor told you were wrong.
Well, other people, look, you want to keep saying there's no debate, but I see shows all over, flat earth debate, flat earth debate, flat earth debate. And there's people that are looking at my arguments. You just refuse to look at my measured flat destructive dichotomy argument. So, what are you afraid of, Nathan?
Them, the dweebs. The dweebs do scare me, just to make this absolutely clear. When people say, what are you afraid of? You. Yeah, your own masturbation and fart sniffing and self-aggrandization can lead you to be quite disgusting an individual. That's just a fact. Now, you might not like the fact that you put the fear of God into people when you behave as you behave, but that's just reality, yeah? Now, it's not to say that in person you wouldn't just have your teeth smashed out your fucking head, because you would, because the society that you actually inhabit in reality doesn't tolerate people like you. Yeah, they take action against you, swiftly. But here on the internet, yeah, you are quite scary. Your persona, in fact, is terrifying. That monster that I can self-identify and control is a monster that you don't have under control, and that does scare me. Yeah, it does. That's what I'm scared of. You. The moment of silence is absolutely warranted.
Well, what do we do now?
We look from the outside in. We psychoanalyse these fart sniffers because we've got 10 years of experience in it. And if they try and engage us in the debate, we can laugh at them, Neil. It's not really for us to try and convert fundamentalists now, is it? I mean, if you're a dyed-in-the-wood, paid-up Scientologist, you're not going to be convinced otherwise. You're too heavily invested. Well, the people inside this circle that we can psychoanalyse are very heavily invested. That doesn't bother me. Still very amusing, still very interesting. From a YouTube perspective, well, what do you know? It's an evergreen subject. Even when you realise that it's all measured flat anyway. I mean, doesn't comport with the Western world society, one world religion of being on a ball. So what? We now know the actual score, don't we? It didn't make any difference to how the world was functional. But it does mean we can look from the outside in with experience. Because most people wouldn't have this privilege. Because they'd be dragged into the discussion like, you don't understand. Well, we do. We all too well know how flat Earth's functionally being operated by people who aren't us. But we're not interested in that anymore. We got over it quite some time ago. Yeah, it's just measured flat, no big deal. You'll still have to pay your mortgage tomorrow. But you're very interested in this, and that interests me. Why are you interested in it? What are you going to be doing of importance? I've got my pen and I've got my bit of paper. Let's hear about your new time system. You haven't got one? I'll just cross that off the list, shall I? Very interesting. We've seen this pattern a few times. Psychologically, you're an interesting subject matter for me to look down my nose over my piece of paper at you from up here, where I condemn you for being a fart sniffer. That's what I'll do. Very interesting. Evergreen subject, Neil.
Hold on. I got Jomo level logic in the chat saying this is going to be fun to watch Nathan over the next few months, burning bridges and being the godly of what Flat Earth should be doing like it matters. This panel will spread Flat Earth to new people 100%.
This guy just realised that I'm about to start a book tour, right? I'm about to go out and tell people on their podcasts about how flat Earth is, based on the 10 years of experience debating the subject and reaching an actual conclusion that is irrefutable. Like, literally, I can make the guy that I've hypothetically described that turns up out of the blue when I'm out promoting my book. So like, oh, you want to promote your book? Yeah, I'm Nathan Oakley. Go and buy All Roads Lead to a Flat Earth. All right, well, introducing fat-sniffing wanker who says you're wrong. Really. Point south. That's it. Watch that man piss in his pants as he says, south's wrong. Yeah? That's what you can do. So it's not like I haven't got any weapons at my disposal, should that happen. And for the people out there that are like, not verbally saying, I want you to be that lion biting people's head off so I can vicariously experience you tormenting these wankers like they've tormented me, that will still happen on a rare occasion. 1 in 10 shows that I go out to promote my book on will have somebody on the show introduced to me at the last minute, and they'll be like, ha ha ha, it's Professor Dave. Oh, Nathan, actually, that's what I'll get. Yeah, along with called Sweetheart. Yeah, that's what I'll get. And what I'll do is go south. Done. 1 and done. Do we need to carry on this conversation? Did he overcome south? Is he making a new compass? I've actually got a pad for this because I now find this person interesting. Professor Dave, how fascinating that you'd be involved in this subject. Are you coming up with a new time-based system? No. What about any new mapping? No. This is a familiar pattern of a fart-sniffing, self-aggrandizing wanker who's decided he's important in this subject. What is it exactly that you do in this subject? Are you going to make some difference to the audience at large that is now sneering at you and mocking you for having no consequence in this regard?
Until he gives his title as a science communicator. And then he'll have power.
Well, no, that gives me an opportunity to talk about the parts of my book where I point out how other subjects have been hijacked. Like science and the scientific method. A science communicator, you say? I'm sorry, south. Does that sound like science to you? Cuckoo! Are you nuts? You think compasses are science? No, they're not. No, you're just wrong. But, I mean, you can call yourself a science communicator. I mean, I don't take it upon myself to describe myself as a geography teacher. I mean, what's that? You're a professor of science, are you? No, we're just talking about how a compass works. I understand what south is. Yeah? Did you forget? But yeah, you'll still get to see that. That side of me will still be brought out of the closet when necessary. That lion will appear. It's no problem. But what I'd rather do is approach the people that I'm talking to about my book on an even keel, on a level playing field, like two guys in a bar talking about the football that understand they're not actually playing the game, that they aren't the ones kicking the balls into the goals. They just like watching it. That's us now. We just like looking in on this subject. Fascinating after 10 years of experience and coming to a conclusion that you can't dispute. Like South. Feel free to dispute it. I'll call you a nutcase. That's what'll happen. But understanding and appreciating how Earth was always dealt with is very much the title of my book, All Roads Lead to a Flat Earth. Hopefully it'll sell plenty of copies. Hopefully people will buy it, as they've suggested they will, so they can give to that irritating neighbour that they see on the ride-on lawnmower that calls them a flat earther over the fence in a tone of disdain. You can give them that book. Yeah, there you go. We always knew how flat it was. Directionality and measured distance shows it. We've already mapped how high or low things are with respect to sea level. It's called altitude. We've used these systems with elevation angle measurements to develop the maps in the first place, long before either of us ever existed. So why are we having this argument? Why are you pouring scorn on me? Is it projection? Were you bullied at school? Probably.
Well, you got wishful thinkers out there that claim that there will never be a book. You don't even have how you're going to get it printed. You don't have a publisher, and you have all of these other nonsense claims that are coming out. So, you got people wishful thinking, Nathan.
Yeah, I guess it's the same thing. It's like they, in their mind, have attached themselves to a process that is exclusively down to me. It's like, okay. Now, I don't have to dignify anybody with a response in this regard. I don't have to justify how I'm getting on with my book. But it's useful to, people will actually want to hear where I'm at in terms of the editing process. The material's all written, by the way. There already exists a book. Now, would it get put out with all the spelling and grammatical errors and inconsistencies in terms of how things are being described? No. It needs polish. That's what's happening now. That's what the editing process does. Polish what is already in existence. But already in existence it's like a metaphorical gem that's been dug out of the flat ground based on the descent into the ground perpendicular to a plane of reference. The gem's been acquired. Now it's being cut. It's being polished, and it will go on sale by Easter. It's called All Roads Lead to a Flat Earth by Nathan Oakley. We are currently editing chapter 9 of 13. So we're more than 3/4 of the way through. When you include all of the different anecdotal, what would you call them? I can't really call them chapters. I like in-between bits that just break up the chapters. So there's something amusing for your average housewife to read. People who like to talk about people as opposed to people who like to talk about concepts. So it's going to appeal to everybody in a certain extent in terms of hearing about the fascination of flat Earth, because flat Earth as a subject matter, the circle we're now looking in on, is what I'm writing about. It's about housekeeping. Well, we only came to those conclusions by very much being within that circle. And that circle started out in the way that I despise it the most now, currently, which is to say, with me asking a load of conspiratorial people how they came to the subject of flat Earth, and having an endless list of conspiracy subjects described to me as a route into a non-related geographical fact that's being utilised by professionals that have no bearing on this fart sniffer that's telling me about his conspiracy that he's came to the subject with, or she's come to the subject with. Ultimately speaking, in almost every single example, the people I interviewed were all utilising Earth as a flat Earth prerequisite plane of reference, or measured distance, or a system that utilised flat Earth measurements of angles, so they could suggest how the ball that they believe that they're on doesn't work. Everybody whistle past what we are now at as flat earthers, in the truest sense of the word. As in, we know Earth is flat. It's just geography. But the road to this place was long, laborious, and full of dweebs. And now we can look in on from outside while selling a book. Like I say, chapter 9 is where we're at. 9 of 13. In terms of editing.
Well, actually, since I've never had anyone ask me to write a book about myself, I know all the steps and processes to writing a book, and you're not following them.
I've just figured out what you're doing. So where in the past we've had examples where we start talking about celestial navigation, for example, we have one of our number, that's 10th man, start buying thousands of dollars, quite literally, of books on the subject so he can research it. And he has an interest in boats, so he might want to use this eventually. He has a desire to become qualified in the process. So with all of the books and money spent in tow, he starts explaining all this to us, people who are inconsequential, who aren't going out on boats, who don't even own or need a sextant, and will, if we did, use maps that were already created for us anyway. Nevertheless, we get explained this in a way that makes us feel like we're very important, like we can change the world with this information. And then somebody from the audience comes on and goes, actually, I'm a navigator. Yep, very high, got all my stars, got little symbols on my shoulders, very important person. Well, what's that all about? Why aren't you doing it? Why are you on the internet? Oh, because I need to tell you how wrong you are. Now, whether or not these people are truthful in their, I would suggest, lies about being spacemen, builders, surveyors, navigators, aircraft engineers, whatever it is that they happen to be lying about in that moment, because we've just learnt about how flat that makes Earth with that process. Not that we were consequential to the process was already there, ready to be educated about. We just happened to educate ourselves about it. But suddenly we're surrounded by experts who know exactly how navigation works because they're a navigator. In this instance, suddenly everyone's an author. Suddenly everyone knows how you publish. Oh yeah, how interesting that you would know all about this. Where's your book? You haven't got one. Maybe you can see if you can steal mine.
Why not? Other people have tried. Just get in line.
Yeah, the book will come out. So it's not very far away. Easter's very close. We're talking, what, 4 or 5 weeks? And we're on chapter 9. So once we've produced it in a full book format, which is to say that instead of it being files with each individual chapter in, it's one file with all chapters in, aka a formatted book. That'll then go through the same rough editing process. That is to say, it'll be passed on to somebody to check spelling, and we'll go through it again to check grammar and check that the order's right. So that's about the only thing that will really change once it gets to the 8th draft. And that's to say that the order of the chapters might be altered. It might be that you have the Coriolis effect chapter before the gravity chapter, or the R-value chapter before the, I don't know, self-perpetuating molten iron core chapter. Whatever. The order might change. But ultimately speaking, the actual content, even though it is going through alterations in the editing process, is there and is accumulated. So it's already 99% there. But yeah, bit of polish, make it a professional product worthy of a relatively high price tag, and then it'll get published. You'll be able to buy it. How long it takes to get various stages of the publication done, that is to say, I don't know how long it'll take to go from being the immediate and easy way of putting it out in terms of distribution, which will be an e-copy. That is to say, you'll be able to download a copy and read it on an iPad or a phone. From there, it'll go into the process of establishing how we can get a hardback and a paperback copy of the book out so that people can have a physical copy of it. But in the meantime, once it's ready to go, it'll be done. There it is. Here's a link to it. And immediately I'll start going out on a tour to publish it, to publicise it, I should say, so that people can be made aware that there's a book available to be bought. And that'll involve me and my wife contacting various different individuals. Thank you so much. I should do a plug for that now. To all the people who've sent me links to and just names of various YouTubers that they would like to see me out and about promoting my book in front of. So thank you very much if you are one of those individuals. I've got a reasonably long list. I might actually grab it and read it before the end of the show so that people can get an idea and get excited about, you know, maybe 1 in 10 of the people on the list being somebody that I'll actually sit in front of and talk about all roads lead to a flat Earth, the housekeeping questions and the process of coming to the conclusion that Earth's measured flat anyway. That's something else in the editing process that I'm currently doing. So for all of its foibles, the book is now at the point where I'm introducing this most recent rhetoric into housekeeping. So where we are describing a downward vector for the rebellious gas particles burning their bras in opposition of the second and third laws of thermodynamics to reach absolute zero, simultaneously gain weight, and travel in a vector opposite to the way that they were originally travelling. Those rhetorics are all now being peppered with up a perpendicular vector to a plane of flat Earth reference, down a vector perpendicular to a plane of reference, altitude to describe the Kármán line, being an altitude described only from sea level, if given any credence in reality. These are all the type of injection that the book's getting as a consequence of, number one, getting fucked over by a couple of friends, but ultimately the delay has caused the rhetoric to evolve to the point where it's much more concise, and the housekeeping questions to have within them incorporated a description of every single, well, not every single, where necessary to make the point without it getting tedious, the highlighting of a flat Earth prerequisite whenever one is used. So it makes sense in terms of the title of the book, All Roads Lead to a Flat Earth. Now, where it might not have been the case that the development of each housekeeping question had me injecting the flat Earth prerequisites at every single stage of them being used, half the time we didn't even recognise them. Now we do. I can put those into a book that will be my first book, and therefore have anybody who reads it constantly be made acutely aware of how flat Earth must be to have any of these discussions to begin with. So by the time you're all the way through to the end of the 13th chapter, where I describe 2 thieves trying to rob from me, to round out the book in an interesting anecdotal way from a personal experience on a personal level that somebody can personally relate to as a reader, you'll know for sure and without a doubt that Earth is measured flat. Because without it, you wouldn't be able to have the discussions about molten iron cores, Coriolis effect, Earth curve, gravity, any of the housekeeping questions, all of them required a flat Earth planar surface to reference in order to create the systems to argue about whether or not they exist. That's being made abundantly clear. It's part of the editing process that I'm currently doing. That is what you will get if you buy my book. You'll get the ability to read through each and every ball-believing claim, have it opposed in the way it was opposed when you heard it if you were an audience member listening to those discussions, and appreciate how flat Earth is being utilised while we formally, past tense, discuss them without highlighting how flat Earth must be measured when debating, in air quotes, because we weren't debating, we were wanking. That's all we were doing, sniffing our own farts.
Well, the little bit I've heard, it's going to be a great book. So looking forward to it.
Neil's been around while I've been writing it, along with other people who are in the panel, and indeed Discord occasionally. I'll have them attend while I'm going through the process. Pretty much what I did on the 5th draft. Allow people to actually get involved with the editing process so they can see what's being produced. Now, it is tedious. There's lots of gaps when it happens. But, you know, join the Discord server. There's a link below this video if you're watching live, which we are currently, but obviously even if you're watching after the fact, underneath this video in the information box there's a link to the Flipside Discord server, and if you're so inclined you can listen to the editing process and hear how the book's coming along. And it's not going to last forever in terms of this process. It's going to be a couple more weeks till we're at the end of chapter 13, and then we start again going through it all on the 8th draft. Once that's actually achieved, that's when it'll become a book, and you can physically go out and buy and download a copy. And then a little bit time will progress and you'll be able to buy a hard copy if you're so inclined. Go ahead.
I was going to say, this might be a good time for you to do like is it an autobiography, the one you write about yourself?
No, yes, autobiography is when you're writing about you. Biography is when you write about somebody else.
Right. You could do an autobiography video or a video autobiography about the process of writing a book and going on tour, and put that in the back pocket just in case you ever get famous. Like, you know, if it does blow up, like some people have said, then you got like a cool little movie you can, you know, move out to people.
I mean, there might be a second book. Maybe. I mean, hopefully there'll be the need for a second book. And while I'm writing it, like me explaining the dweeb's requirement for this exciting knowledge that sends everyone else to sleep to aggrandize themselves in a hypothetical bar with a table they're hypothetically standing on. That kind of information is a dissection of the current rhetoric that we're refining as we speak, as opposed to housekeeping. So while I'm explaining this to my wife during the process, I'm like, should I insert that as an extra paragraph? Her answer, no. If you end up writing a second book, that's what that will contain. You know, your dissection of the process that you've gone through, as opposed to what housekeeping questions were argued about, brought to conclusion, and now laughed about in terms of how flat Earth had to be for you to argue those points. I mean, it seems stupid, but that is what we're currently doing. What I'm going to do now, though, is I'm going to read out my list of people. So these are the names that I've been given quite specifically from my audience and indeed from the panel. So I'll come off camera because I look a bit too sloppy with my feet up looking at my iPad. So we've got Jesse Lee Peterson, Alex Jones, Eddie Bravo, Joe Rogan, Mark Sargent, Godfrey, if you know who he is, black guy who does a podcast, Killer Priest, Infinite Plane Radio, The Higher Side Chat Show, Bro Sanchez, Eric Debate, Dean Odell, Martin, that's Flat Earth British formerly, Fisherman in a Box, UK Morning News, UK Phone Booth Podcast, Owen Benjamin, David Weiss, Stephen Chess, Jay Dreamers, Russian Vids, Nick, Phuket Word, Morgile, GeoShifter, Patricia Steer, if she's still around, Martin, Mike Tyson, Candy Sowens, Taboo Conspiracy, Jaron, Dave, Dell, Witsit, Vice Media, Russell Brown, the Higher Side Chat. Oh, these are ones that people have actually given me email addresses for. BBC Breakfast, Good Morning Britain, Joe Harvey, Tom Cohen, Kelly Brogan, Dave Murphy, Alex Zeck, Steve Faulkner, Level Earth Observer, Level Earther, Count Dankula, Tim Dillon, Old Sterling, John Campbell, Joey Barton, Carly Vernon, who else we got? Jonathan Smallscreen. I don't know who that is. Jack Bendwood. And Man Carrying. I don't know who that is either. There's a couple of others. Daily Agenda. IBT. Toy Cat. A gamer YouTube channel again who I'm unfamiliar with. So there's a fairly extensive list of maybe 2 or 3 dozen people that I can get in touch with, or ask a third party to get in touch with on my behalf, to try and get on their shows. And I would expect that if I've got 20 or 30 names, I'll get in front of 2 or 3 people, and that'll start the ball rolling. In other words, I hope people continue to give me these names. That is to say, I don't want you to stop. If you're getting in touch via Skype or whatever it's called now, Teams or Discord, make me aware if you have got somebody that you wanted me to get in touch with. Ideally, I have their email address and their contact name from you. If you just have, I like this particular podcaster, it would be great to see you on their show. That is almost as good. It just means that obviously a certain amount of time has to be dedicated to me acquiring their information to actually get in touch with them. But there's plenty of people on that list that are like that. I haven't got email addresses for all of the people I've just read out, maybe a third of them, but enough for me to get onto the first show. Go ahead, whoever's off mute.
Oh, sorry. Sir Daddy posted Truth Stream Media's contact information in Master B.
Perfect.
So
I'll grab
just
that.
to be aware that they're in there.
Yeah, I'll grab that as well. Marvellous. Thank you very much. But like I say, I want that to continue. So if you've got somebody that you have in mind, it doesn't necessarily mean I'll get on their show. I've got about a 1 in 10 chance in terms of conversion rates, just how many I'll get in touch with based on you, my audience, being interested in them. I would hope there'll be a relatively high conversion rate. Let's say 1 in 10 of the people that I get in touch with will say, yeah, I'll definitely have you on your show. And then when I get to about 10, by about the 10th show, I expect there to be, by the way, I've bought this wanker to talk to you and tell you how wrong you are. So if you like that particular aspect metaphorically of me being a lion biting the head off some baller, that will happen. Yeah, it is inevitable.
The only issue is Nathan. Sorry.
Good.
Sorry, John. Go on.
No, Mr. Goat, you go right ahead. I've talked plenty enough. You go ahead.
Thank you. I just say the only thing is that everyone does it differently on how you contact them. Some have contact forms that you can click a link to. Some have an email address, but some just use social media or Telegram. So it depends on what you have. Do you have Instagram and TikTok and all the obvious ones? Nathan?
Yeah, sure.
Do you have Instagram and TikTok and Telegram and all those?
What about Telegram?
All right, well, one of the links, the only way you could contact that guy was by Telegram. So that you might have to outreach now and then.
Sure. I mean, if you've got those, I've written those down along with the info of the person. So, like I say, the chances are I'll pass that on to my wife to do, so I can keep passing on PayPals that I've been sending her. So what I've been doing to keep my wife motivated is sending PayPal. So if you recently, in the last, 3 months, sent me a PayPal, it immediately went to my wife to incentivize her to keep editing the video. Rather than me paying an editor, it's like, well, I'll give you what I get from PayPal. That's specifically what she said she'd like, thinking that you should get 5 or 10 quid. But more money came in via PayPal specifically because I've mentioned this. This is probably why I'm mentioning it now. But yeah, if you're one of the people that supported me knowing full well that I'm just going to send it straight on to my wife so that she can keep motivated to edit my book, it's worked. You know, we've worked on it almost daily since that time. Now, I'd like to keep that up. That's to say, I'd hope that this will have a positive impact in terms of increasing ad revenue and increasing the YouTube general finance that I get from doing this as a YouTuber, which will mean that instead of me having to flog mics, which is now coming to a close, I think I've got 30 mics left to sell on eBay, and rather than 100 listings, they're trickling through really slowly. So there's no longer a mic mountain in my bedroom getting in the way, so they can just stay as they are. But to all intents and purposes, I've got no more mics on the way here and haven't had for about a month, and there's very few being sold on eBay. So I'm hoping that financial revenue stream will directly get replaced by the book. But also, as a consequence of going out and promoting it, there's a certain increase in my revenue. But that means that I can hopefully continue to give my wife money that I get from my PayPal and motivate her to contact people that are on that list on my behalf as a third party, because I think she'll have more success doing it as a third party rather than me contacting them and then getting into the debate over email. If it's just, would you have this particular individual on my show? Or it might be the case that if I do really well, I get a PA or whatever. Who cares? The point being that it's nice to be able to financially pay another person to get in touch with these individuals. I think it was John originally that said this is the way I should view this, that I should get a third party to actually go out and contact these people. Well, I can keep supplying my wife with the money to financially incentivize her to keep doing work for me, basically. That is to say, contacting people on my behalf to get me on their shows. Go ahead, John.
Well, absolutely, because it gives you an air of importance if you're not the one, contacting them. It's, I don't know, because you're never going to, not usually, you're usually going to speak to someone who works for them, right? So that person will, I don't know, it's just, people are weird about the way they treat other people. They think if they can talk to them, then anybody can, and they're not that important. You know what I mean? So having someone do it for you it elevates your importance in the mind of the individual you're trying to contact.
Oh, I see. Very good.
That's absolutely correct. That's why you have representatives. So back in the day when I was representing an electronics manufacturer, could the owner get in touch? Well, yeah, he could just be on the phone saying, buy my stuff. But it's nowhere near as effective as having somebody represent you. That was me. Now, when there's an air of importance to be given to a given customer, I might invite the owner of the company to get in touch with a specific customer, but I'd make the customer aware that it was going to happen and that was special. Is it special? No, it was just some dude. So, who cares? But if you've got that level of detachment, it creates an air of importance. And that is what we're describing when we describe the self-aggrandization of the people in this subject matter. It's like you've elevated yourself into a position that you actually have no relevance in. In the hypothetical scenario where there's a third party contacting somebody on that list that I've just read out for me or on my behalf, that creates a sense of importance around me. But a deserved one. I've got something to sell, a book. There's something practical going to happen. As opposed to you saying I don't understand flight paths when you're actually supposed to be preaching to a congregation about Jesus. It's like you don't have any bearing on this. Shout out to whoever it was that said I should get in touch with DJ Wakes. Thank you very much. So get in touch with Crow 777. I've added Crow to the list. Thank you very much.
Well, Secrets of Saturn is on that list, and he works directly with Crow.
On the list that I've already got?
Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome.
That's
Find
Jason,
your
his co-host.
conspirator.
Maybe I am.
I almost went, well, actually.
Actually, this person works
The
with Crow.
best line of last week was "Find your dweeb."
Right, to give relevance to this, so find your dweeb is if I am saying I don't want any part of that circle, right? You can argue about you believing you've got importance when it comes to changing the world that's already being measured flat and telling next man who believes he's on a globe that he's wrong about that. So that the globe guy can tell you how you're wrong about how south means down. You can do that. But when those people come to me, it's like, no. Go and find the relevant pastor, the man of God that says he's got a bearing on south. Go and find him. Find your own dweeb. So you can sit around wiping your snot on your sleeve, saying actually to each other. Go find your dweeb.
That's how you said it. Find your own dweeb. Classic.
You know what show this is? You know what the show number is?
No, 2,500.
Today is show 2,500. That is to say there has been 2,500 Flat Earth Debate and Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After shows. Amazing.
Nice. I took a guess. I was right.
Great place to be. I remember about probably from the start people saying these words. Flat Earth's a dying subject. Nathan's show won't be around in insert time value here. It's like, here we are, 10 years later. Still just as evergreen as ever.
10 years.
10 years.
It's
being
10
told.
years where it goes the other way, right? Where people drop out. Well, we survived it. You survived it.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up because you know the stopper on a pressure cooker that whistles when it gets up to pressure?
Yeah.
It's almost like that's what the wave is, because there is such a large part of today's society that utilizes a flat plane to build on, to navigate with, to do all these things. You have to have this topic have a resurgence every so often so you can beat it back down.
That's correct. Absolutely spot on. You have to instill an idea in the public's eye that the flat earth is a conspiracy subject worthy of mocking. And therefore, when it has substantial, demonstrable, conspiratard aspects to it, you can say you were right. Look at all these idiots. That's what you can do. So in order to stamp it down, you've got to first build it up. But it needs to be built up as people, the individuals, the bong-smoking, spliff-smoking hippies that talk about conspiracies. They are the ones that need the stamping. And they need to be stamped down by the people who've taken their brave pills because they weren't accepted in society with their boring-ass information about Coriolis deflection or bent fourth-dimensional pseudo-Riemannian geometry from Einstein. Those people were all viewed as boring because the subjects that they've decided to focus on without any consequence to the actual world are boring. Well, those are the two individual groups that fight amongst each other. And those are the groups that are given a push to come back into the forefront of the public's mind's eye so that they can be suppressed. But you're not suppressing a flat earth. You're suppressing this impression that flat earth is a group of people who talk about 9/11 or talk about COVID, flu jabs, whatever it is that they talk about, and then say, and also we see too far, therefore we're not on a globe. And then they call themselves flat earthers for that. That is what is intentionally put into the public. That's how we were algorithmically guided to be here. A lot of us being conspiratards. We just had a little joke about it a minute ago with Sensible Go. It's like, yeah, we all are. We know how we are. We know how we've got here. We're not in any delusional ways about how and why we are here. We're all here with the same general background, right? I did it when I did Flat Earth UK and interviewed hundreds of people about how they made their way to this subject. And almost every single one of them had the same story, me included to a certain extent. My recognising how flat Earth isn't necessarily the same as everyone else's story in terms of my eureka moment when hearing Math Powerland talk, but ultimately I was only here because I'd algorithmically been led here from subjects that are pseudoscience, like your psychopathy subject or the subliminal message subject. These are the routes that took me to flat Earth. So I can demote and ridicule and have some introspection and laugh about it. But that is the description that John's just given. The resurgence of the subject is talking about things like parallax, things like that's the person, as in his pseudonym and his book, and how he says Earth's not a sphere and how we see too far. So we can all collectively whistle past the flat Earth prerequisites that are needed to say we see too far. What's the distance? Oh, it's a horizontal linear measurement from surface level. So when we say we see too far, we're buying into the idea that we can whistle straight past the flat Earth measurements, use those flat Earth measurements to create a ball, and then tell next man that he's wrong about it. That can be stamped on. We now, 10 years down the line, just go, it's just geography. We don't have any bearing on this. So we're not going to be used like pawns on a chessboard to be ridiculed and mocked by a bunch of dweebs. We will now stand outside of that circle and look down our nose and have a bit of fun psychoanalyzing the people who do that. Now that we've identified the players, we can. That's not to say that flat Earth's going to die as a subject. Everybody's still in the Western world being taught it as their religion. Good for them. It didn't matter, though. The maps were still being used. The GPS was still Cartesian. The elevation angles were still off a flat plane. Flight level still parallel with surface level. Altitude still measured from sea level. Sea level still flat. None of these things were in alteration because of you getting involved. None of them are going to be bettered. They might be. I mean, I wish you luck if you go out and do that. Hopefully this is a wake-up call for people to realise that they're not actually doing anything practical, that they're wasting their lives. I mean, like I say at the beginning of this show, I'm a YouTuber. I've no regrets. 10 years of building up a channel. I've got 25,000 plus subscribers. And I'm paying my mortgages with the money I get from this. Yeah, fantastic. That's a win. Very few people achieve their ends as being a successful YouTuber. Now, you might say, well, I would say 1,000 subscribers is much more akin to a start in this process, not success. Like, if 1,000 subscribers gets you your mortgage paid and you don't have to do a different job as a result, then you're a professional YouTuber. Me, with 25,000 subscribers, that's where I've achieved this ends. And I'm absolutely elated. I have nothing but praise and thanks for every single supporter who've got me to this position. Kept the lights on for 10 years doing this. Fantastic. Couldn't be more delighted. Is there any regrets in being able to now stand back from the scum that we were associated with for 10 years? No. It means that we can now move on in this evergreen subject, analysing that process like John just did. Analysing how the subject gets algorithmic favourship so it can be squashed, but without having any consequence on the actual measurements that everybody's using anyway.
Some people get it. The guy, I got to read this because it's a good one from Mountain Red. The FED method of dealing with the debate has evolved into something like jujitsu, redirecting an aggressor's attack energy, axiomatic FE requirements, back against them. I think that's pretty direct. I like that.
Yeah, if somebody's coming in to throw a fist at you, you grab it and throw them over your shoulder. Yeah, their fist is a flat earth measurement by metaphor, and we're redirecting that energy. Well, if you're going to tell me that you're travelling south to prove earth isn't flat, your south direction's a flat earth direction. Do you want to carry on arguing? Now, like Matrix examples with Neo, you eventually reach the point, as described by Morpheus, where you don't need to stop the bullets. When you recognise that they're just little bits of code, then you just put your hand up and the bullets all fall down. That isn't to say in the second instalment of The Matrix, he doesn't still continue to get into the fight, because there they are, they've forced themselves upon him, he can't get away from them, they're dragging him back into the fight. Whether or not he can deal with it with a mere lifting of his hand or not, they still want to fight with him. And that'll be the case for us. Neil was asking in the pre-show, why is it the case when we've reached this Zen position of realising that we're inconsequential, you still get endless messages? It's because we're even more dangerous as a consequence of it to those people in that circle. Us standing on the outside going, we already know it's measured that way by everybody, you're not in that group, they're a completely separate group that need to be kept sacrosanct because your bull religion relies on those flat earth measurements. That doesn't make us easily detachable from that group, because that group recognises and utilises that which we have now appreciated in the most simplistic of form. Now, that needed to be detached for them as ball believers. Their flat earth measurements needed to be utilised and never highlighted. They needed to say sea level, they needed to say latitude, they needed to describe flight level, and it was only upon a hippie with a bong telling them that isn't sea level flat. No, dweeb, they called by projection the bong-smoking hippie flat earther, sea level bends.
Neil, what Nathan was saying earlier is that you can avoid that fight altogether by asking them who they are, what bearing do you have on this, before I answer your questions.
Yeah, what are we fighting for? Okay, so we're about to get involved in a fist fight by metaphor, and I've described how previously as Flat Earth Debate ninjas, you redirect their energy and throw them over your shoulder. Okay, why are we having this fight again? Were you going to come up with a new map? Did you have some new waypoints? Are you going to come up with a new time system? Did you find that there's an alternative to building on level ground? Oh, none of the above. So why are we having this fight? We don't have to, do we? So I'm just going to step back because there's no benefit. This juice is not worth the squeeze.
Yeah, you could sum all that up, and with I know it's an authority question. It's and your specialization is what, and how does it relate to this topic? Yep.
They used to say it to us. You never used a sextant. Now we're going to lean back into it. This is like me saying metaphorically, you see this weapon on the ground, and you go, wow, cool, I can just pick this up and use it. Bang! Oh, check it out, his head exploded. Isn't that amazing? They were firing at us and we were dancing around like crazy, and here we are, we still managed to stay alive. But there's loads of these weapons, they're all over the place. So what's that you say? I've never used a sextant. I've never been out on a boat and found our way back after getting lost. After the GPS, that's a Cartesian flat grid anyway, stops working. No, you're right. Yeah, that's absolutely correct. So what do? Are you developing a new map? Have you come up with a new compass? New time system, perhaps? None of the above? So why are you having this conversation with anybody, you fat sniffer? Oh, you wanted to tell them they were wrong. You're just a pawn on a chessboard. You didn't make the board, but you wandered onto it. The board's
You got
flat.
people asking in. Sorry, you got people asking in chat if you'll be signing any copies. Which, by the way, Skeptic 936 is going to make his way towards me in May, and stop over, and then have to sign a copy of his book. That's all the guy asked of me. Can I sign a copy of Nathan's book? So I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? But
I don't
needs
see
to
any
have a
reason why not.
book.
I don't see any reason why not. I mean, that won't come immediately. That'll take a little bit more time. But once it's ready, as soon as it is ready, I want to monetize it immediately. That is to say, come Easter, that's when I think it's feasible to have electronic copies distributed that people can hand over money for and buy. Right? That will come first. Then, having seen it physically happen, so...
Hold on, people are going to be stealing it then, Nathan.
Hold on. So having literally had books that are physical that I can touch sent to me from Level Playing Poem, this one being Flat Earth Explained, that have got literal writing inside them addressed to an individual, in this case my daughter. You know, I know that this is something that is easily achievable, and there's people out there with the means to do it. Now, my publicist and I have not discussed the hard copy availability yet. All that we've discussed is the means of getting a book in the process of being made currently, present tense, and how it will be distributed electronically once it's made, and how the percentages get distributed to the people who potentially promote it with a affiliate program or an affiliate program that I can promote to somebody on that list and say, yeah, you can have 30% of the book. You just have to put a link beneath our interview, and then you'll get 30% of any of the sales of it. So those are the things that I've discussed thus far with the publicist, as opposed to how can I get a copy to Skeptic 936? Not that it's not important to me. I appreciate that, and you know, I'm flattered that, you know, Neil would be signing my book for me.
Oh, hold on a second. Your ebook, aren't musicians getting ripped off left and right? If you put an ebook out there, people will be able to steal it from you, no? I mean, I don't know how that works, but this is what I've been hearing.
Yeah, but what you're saying is the scumbags that are too cheap to buy a book, and they could do that with a hard copy. You could photocopy it. You know, so what?
That's not that easy. Come on, you know that. What are you going to do? Photocopy each page?
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is
Today,
a lot of
they
work.
just got to do whatever they do, and they hack it, and they take it, and you lose money.
Well, you're obviously unaware that there's hacking copyright protection systems that go into books that you buy from an e-store that prevent you from just dragging across, clicking copy, and then clicking paste. So if you do that, it'll garble up the words. So you get it, and you start reading it through. We did it at one stage, so I had to copy from one place to another vast chunks of the book, and it would change the text radically, altering the meaning when you actually got the cut version of it. But there's copyright systems. That's not to say that somebody won't come along and go, I can actually hack this and save myself $20. Go ahead. Sad.
The dweeb.
Dweebs, yeah.
So is the dweeb, right?
Actually, I can get this for free. Oh, really? Well done. So while you're enjoying my book for free, it won't affect me. I don't care. Who cares?
Well, you know, you could make claims about having a copyright protection on citations that you copied. That would
We
be
don't need to
interesting.
talk about that.
That's
That's
sorry.
dead news, Refracted.
I didn't hear that claim till last night. That episode came up on my feed list for Nathan's show, and I never heard it before, so I watched it, and it was like, wow, he's saying that for sure.
the best thing to do moving forward, not just with the people you're mentioning, but people that are constantly sending messages and claiming that they would love to come on here and destroy Nathan, but they're banned. And we know it's only a handful. I don't even mention their names anymore. They are irrelevant. If you keep talking about them, you keep them alive.
I mean,
They
might
4 messages just popped up now.
might be consequential. I mean, these people might develop a new time-based system for us to adhere to, or a new calendar, or new waypoints, or new maps and Cartesian systems, or new versions of the latitude grid measured off a flat Earth, or new distance measurements, or the acquisition ability of said distance measurements. They might come up with a new system for one of these, in which case we'd be like, wow, that's quite impressive. Or we might find it intensely boring. I mean, who knows? We'll have to find out when they present these things to us. But they're not presenting these things to us. They're coming along and going, actually, you're wrong. And you're like, oh, go away.
You didn't say horizontal enough.
Horizontal proves globe. Don't you know that, Nathan?
Yeah, same thing. Go away. You're boring me. Sorry, what bearing do you have on this? Are you coming up with a new system that's non-horizontal, that's going to benefit the world in terms of a new map? What are you going to do? Where's your map? You haven't got one? Go away. You have no bearing on this. But with that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Programming Streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow.
What's his name? Edeber's destructive dichotomy that is going to invalidate measurement. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I got
is
that.
like being in a madhouse.
Yeah, I got things, dates to shows that you said what the circumference was. And Nathan on this show said that there are antipodal, not antipodal, the two lights in the sky stuff, opposite rotations. That's why Mighty Mush fell out with him. Oh, you get a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah.
Oh, the 2 points of celestial rotation overhead.
Yeah. That brought the Mighty Mush to leave. So we've been saying it, and now we're backing away from it all of a sudden. I wonder why. Yes, people just, you know what it is? They're not relevant. They want to be relevant, and the only way they can get any relevancy is to do what they're doing, which to me is weird because it makes you not relevant. It makes you more annoying.
Yeah, I don't see how attacking us, who we're not in any way important to this subject, right?
Right.
Nathan might be ascribable importance because of his viewer count, but like me, why is Ederbear trying to pitch me a destructive dichotomy that's going to debunk measurement? I mean, is the dude high, crazy? Like, there's got to be something went really wrong in his childhood. You know what I mean?
Yeah, crazy because he's got high on his own farts and thinks that what he's telling you has a consequence. What's going to happen if you accept what he's saying? Does that mean you'll make a new map? Is it changing the map that you've already made? No. But again, if he can aggrandize you onto a pedestal to knock you off it, his remaining pedestal is of equal height to the one you just got knocked off, making him important.
Yeah,
Which
I
is
don't get it.
crazy. That's crazy. This is freaking crazy to even think that way. You know what I mean?
They're really focused on Nathan, really focused on him. First, his microphone sales broke even. The profit was on his shelf behind him that he is not going to sell. Then he said he paid his mortgage with the mic sales, but he never made any profit. Now he paid of his credit card debt with the mic sales. Oh, my goodness. It gets to the point where you're like, dude, don't you have a life? Why are you freaking focused in on something that Nathan is saying on his show? I mean, you obviously know this because Nathan has said it quite a few times. This idiot thinks mortgages get paid once. Oh, and I forgot.
No,
He has somehow he's able to be in his Uncut and After show when he's not in the Discord server. I will find out who the traitor of the Corleone family is, and it's not going to be good for you because there's no way he should be responding to me in a message at what I'm saying right now.
I kind of feel bad for mentioning his name, Neil. I'm so sorry, but that just I have a hard time like that anybody is so like obsessed with me that they would need to think they have to argue with me about something like measurement. Like you're going to logic your way out of measurement. What?
Have fun.
Could you imagine if somebody on the work site did that? You know, it's like, well, I measured that board over there is 12 foot long, and then they come up to you. And, well, I haven't actually.
Here's the thing. It was Nathan and Refracted that proudly stated the circumference of the equator is 24,901 miles, just the same as the globe. He said it live on FED 2316. Remember when Mighty Mush fell out with him because Nathan claimed 2 points of rotation on flat Earth? Is that in there, yawn, or your buck? Yawn? Yeah. You're yawning so much, but like you hear, you really focus it in. So your yawns, they don't work. You're fooling yourself. You're not yawning. You're wide awake and alert.
Are they literally taking on board my rhetoric and trying to mirror it, saying that they are
Yeah,
yawning?
of course.
These people are psychopaths. All they can do is see a mask that's potentially wearable and put it on. That's all they're doing.
Yeah, like what? Where do they come from? They can't. They've had to learn to speak phonetically, right? It's just like a system of when I say this, I get slapped. When I say this, I don't get slapped. And they have no idea what the meaning of the words they say are. They just spout things and wait for a reaction that doesn't get them hit. I really think that's what the level they're operating on.
Okay. So then now when this is a book and it sells however many, what are you going to do? Are you going to retract your statements? See, he hasn't got a publishing deal. It's just a vanity project. E-books will just be copied. If he had a deal, he would know what form it will be printed in. Hard copy, paperback, Kindle edition. Kindle editions are the cheapest edition, less than $10. Look on Amazon. 30% of that is question mark. Why are you focusing so much on this?
How many books has Edinburgh got written anyway?
I don't know, but he seems like he's an experienced author. He must have hundreds of them.
He's got books everywhere, huh? Don't you, Edinburgh? You wrote The Grapes of Wrath. Shit.
He this is what you call butthurt. A dweeb being butthurt. You want to hang out. He's always wanted to hang out, but he just didn't come in correct. Now, I'm sure there's many dweebs that are here, right? They came in correct and we hang out with them. Like Liam. Liam's probably a dweeb, right, Liam?
Well, I'm a dweeb. We'll just go ahead and get that out in the open. I'm a dweeb. You know, I mean, when 10th Man was going over that information, I asked so many questions. I know he had to be irritated because he was learning at the same time we were. You know what I mean?
That man is probably a dweeb. He came in correct. When a dweeb comes in correct, you're like, you don't mind hanging out with them. Yeah, come on, be part of the crew. Just, look over there because we still want the girls to check us out. And you with all your zits are, a big distraction. Maybe we could do something about that.
Are you sure? Do you want to play Dungeons and Dragons with these people? Sounds like fun.
Yeah, I kind of do. Quit it. You quit that. I like D&D.
Find your dweeb.
No, I'm a nerd. I think dweebs, you have to have the awkward social behavior where you go out of your way to act like a jerk. You know what I mean? And then wonder why everybody hates you.
And on the other hand, the train spotting thing is quite interesting. many fruitful days have been spent on overpasses looking at trains go by. Nobody will deny it.
I've had the giggles like this entire show. Like you went on like a whole show rant. You know that, right? Like it was awesome. It was an epic rant.
I think I should change the terminology from fart sniffing to train spotting, though, because that's what it is.
Yes.
By equivalent, so it's a bit less crude. Fart sniffing is gross. Whereas if I say you're train spotters, that is to say the trains are running on the tracks that are levelled. So there's not an increased gradient with respect to sea level for the entire network. That's how it's built, right? It's functioning with trains, with people paying at ticket offices to people who take the tickets and put their money into a till and then hand them a piece of paper so they can get on the train and travel to a different place to achieve things, practical things. That is to say, if they're in commerce, they're out there doing business on the train when they get to their destination. So the trains function and do all of their things that the trains do. And what's this snot-faced adenoidal twat got to say about it? Actually, you don't understand how the diesel systems work. They're electrified. You're like, well, you're not on the train. You haven't built the network. If you got run over by a train tomorrow, nothing would change. Literally. You're inconsequential to this process, but you think you're important because you've spent a long time on the bridges counting the numbers that are in a book that you were given that already had them all printed in anyway. That's what these people are doing. Actually, antipodal directionality through a pseudo-Riemannian fourth-dimensional bent space-time means that we do actually have a curved ground. You're like, oh, God, you bloody train spotter, you are so boring. But moreover, inconsequential to this. You don't matter. You think you matter because you've spent a lot of time on bridges, but you don't.
Sorry for interrupting you. I was going to say you're lucky to get a train where I live. It's usually the replacement bus service.
Sorry, was that a question to me? Sorry.
It wasn't a question. Never mind.
I went in the other room and you were a bit quieter. What did you say?
It doesn't matter. I'm busy as well. Go ahead, John.
He was just talking. He was going to make a joke about he usually gets the replacement bus, but yeah, it's crazy. This whole topic, looking back on it, it doesn't make any sense to me anymore.
I mean, I think we should give them what they want. Okay, if you want the radius value to be ascribable to Nathan Oakley because show 2145, then okay, you can have it. Have it. Have the globe Earth radius at Nathan's behest. Oh, what's that? Oh, you wanted to tell me I was wrong. Pi equals 2. Okay, you're really nuts. Go and find your own dweeb. I'm not that dweeb.
Yeah, it's like this topic though. It's like we were the ones trying to train spot, right? And then the heroin addicts come out of nowhere and start trying to train spot with us or something. It's just, I don't know. And as analogy goes, I don't know how to even describe it. It was just people being horrible to each other and not listening to anything anyone ever said.
Now he's giving me the name of your publisher, Nathan. So he's really been investigating you, which I won't say. I'll send you it on the side, but this guy's really investigating you. I'd be worried. I'm a little afraid of these people.
Creepy. Creepy is the word.
How did he get the name of the publisher he just said you didn't have?
It's just creepy.
No, he said he hasn't got a publishing deal. Now he's naming the publisher. It is very creepy, Nathan. You said it earlier, like, I'm afraid of these people. I'm starting to be.
Yeah, because at the very least, they can mobilise the real men to do things on their behalf, right? You need a real man to fly you somewhere, they can do that. Often they've got the money. From people who've listened to them talk about Jesus in front of a pulpit. You know, those people have funded them to be able to afford to fly south in a flat earth direction so that they can tell other fart sniffer train spotting heroin addicts how wrong they are. Back to the opening of this show. I mean, according to them, they've said it's all over because of TFE. Let's lean into that. Say it's all over. TFE ended this 18 months ago. So, why are you still here? What are you doing exactly? Was that not good enough? No, there's no pleasing you.
I swear, man, I don't know what put you in a mood today, but I have been giggling like nonstop for the last 2 hours.
I mean, TFE ended it for me. I was quite content to draw a line under it. They told us it was final, and I'm going with that, right? The good pastor ended a geography subject, because that's what he can do as a pastor. that's his right to do that, right? Yeah, it ended. Yeah, we saw the flight levels, we saw the direction, and we saw the measurements. We're good, it's all done, it's over. What's that? You want to talk about those measurements? No, I don't need to talk about them with you. It's all good, I understand this. You want to what? Tell me that I'm the arbiter of a globe Earth radius because I verbalised it? Okay, you can have that too. Yeah, that's right. I am your God. On show number what? I said what? Very important that you know exactly what I'm doing and how I'm doing it and what I'm saying about it. Yes, I'm very important to you. I understand that. Thank you. You, I don't, it's not the same feeling. I'm really sorry. I don't care. Yeah, but I did accept that it was over at TFE. That was the end. That was the final experiment. Because, of course, it was an experiment when they measured Earth flat with angles. You know, it's absolutely scientifically validated as flat, as per the measurements in their science. So we're all good. It's over. It's done. Final. Why are you still here again?
Hey, Nathan, I was wondering, as like contrarian as they are to you, if you tried to take a vow of poverty tomorrow, do you think they'd start sending you money?
Yes. So by consequence of their engagement, let's just acknowledge your point. Your point is they wouldn't put their hand in their pocket and chuck it into my hat. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. No, they would not. However, their engagement with me has its own value. Yeah? I can't remember if there's I can't remember exactly who. I think it was Crowley or someone like that, some Satanist, that said that, you know, having people talk about you at all is better than having them not talk about you. In other words, his sentiment was that even if people are saying evil things about him being a devil worshipper, that's better than nobody ever mentioning you. Now, where are we on the chessboard? Well, we're on the chessboard with these people around us going, I want to get on the board. I'm saying, oh, well, we're just pawns. We don't really have any effect on what's going on. We're already on a board that's been made. We're already playing on it. The board's already here. Yeah? And when we finish our time on the board will still be here. And the processes of utilising the board are all the same. They're all flat. But what's that? You want to fight with me on the board because you want a place on the board. But you're not on the board. Nobody cares about you. But you want to scream from the sidelines about your level of importance. The only importance I have is, ironically, the one thing that I try to separate out from my perceived importance. What do I mean? When I described having two hats, one being a flat earth hat, that was a fart-sniffing, self-aggrandizing dweeb hat that didn't really get any validation. It got mocked and ridiculed. And I, in that vein, demeaned the other hat of, oh, just a YouTuber. Well, as it turns out, where does my importance sit? Well, in terms of I do have a very tiny amount of social influence as a YouTuber. That's why they're concerned about me. Not because I'm making maps, but they don't have that either. A lot of them want to have that. Some of them are wannabe YouTubers. I've seen them. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not a massive YouTuber, I'm not making millions, but I'm definitely sustaining myself as a YouTuber and very delighted with my audience and their dedication to me as an individual to achieve that as an entertainer on YouTube with that hat on. But that's where I do have some clout when I talk about my specialist subject in Flat Earth, and they don't have any. Now, my clout can come in the form of me describing how unimportant I am in the subject, but that still has clout. And that is absolutely devastating to these dweebs who don't have anything. Not only do they not have any clout in social terms, they've had to demean themselves to faceless trolls under metaphorical bridges on the internet, they're having that taken away from them too. Nah, even your perceived clout about knowing about the train numbers all off by heart doesn't matter. The train book was already written. We were already measuring it flat anyway. You talking about it didn't matter. It never would have done. So, that's being taken from them too, and it's left them furious. That's the reality of what's really being dealt with by these dweebs. It's them coming to terms with how unimportant they are. Now, given that most of these dweebs wanted to fight for a heliocentric model that made them a speck of dust mathematically in an ever-expanding super nothingness, you'd think they'd be okay with being told that they're unimportant and inconsequential. But oh no, in that delusional world where it doesn't matter about the evil skeletons they keep in their closet and hide away because they're an insignificant speck of nothing, they still want to self-aggrandize. They still seek their own self-importance in a world that's unimportant to them in their worldview. The irony is thick.
Exactly, Nathan, exactly. One day you will realize your crew is not telling the truth. It's up to you who you believe in, Neil.
Another category error. It's not about belief. We can move on because we don't believe anymore. When we believed, we could contrast it with their belief, and then they were happy because we were fighting with them, giving them our time and having us placed on these pedestals to be knocked off by them. They like that. It's like, believe who you like. No, it doesn't actually matter if you understand these facts of flat Earth measurement or believe in something different. They're still being functionally put to use, just not by you. When he says you can believe what you like, to what consequence? If Neil believes differently to you, does that change the world in any way? Nope.
No. He said believe. No. He's talking about a person. The end of it is, it's up to you who you believe in. So, like, Nathan, it annoys them. Here's what's going to really annoy them. Guys, Nathan's my friend. I have a friend. Refracted's my friend. Sorry, but that's just the way it is. You will never be my friend because you're a piece of shit.
And both of us actually did the same time. So,
How about your friend Neil?
Yeah. One deck. I just said them too, but usually everybody that's on this panel is like-minded people. We deal with things every day. We roll with the punches. We resist, right? But then we come to realization that, you know what? It is a waste of freaking time. We could just sit back, chill, and relax because it's always been flat. We're not changing anything. I'm not changing the world. If I go out and I get on a show and I tell the world, people, everybody, hey, the world is flat, and they all believe, it's still not going to change anything because the world has always been flat. So planes are going to fly, boats are going to sail, right? Cars are going to drive through roads and find their destinations. It's not going to be a catastrophe like they'll have you believe. Like if you Google, if the world went flat, there'd be catastrophes all over the place, right? So, but people can't handle that. And the thing is, they want to be part of the club. You didn't come in right.
Once it's in that belief, Neil, then you can put it in an if statement. Then you can put logic to it. Then you can do all this other stuff. You got to get that slippery slope going and get it into the belief. or get it in that if statement, and that's all you need. Because with that if statement, it's like you can change this measurement with the destructive dichotomy. Oh my God, I still can't get over that.
We just need a model as well, a flat Earth model, and we'll be all right.
I don't really know what they mean by model anymore. Like, I always thought they were referring to the celestial sphere when they said model, but they can't be, because they say they live on a globe. That's from inside a dome. You know what I mean?
Oh dear.
It's just the assassinate Nathan campaign, you know? Now, and it's weird because now that we've taken a different approach, it's assassinate him more. They didn't kill him the first time, good enough. Kill him again. Give him 2 life sentences. And
The only
nobody.
thing that ever gives their life any significance was attacking Nathan and the attaboys they got when they would go and do it. Isn't that sad?
Is that even? I mean, yeah, I see what you're saying, but if that's what you want in life, I mean, here's the thing. This is how I am. And I'm sure you're all the same. If somebody says, get lost, we don't want to deal with you, I'm gone. I'm not there every day knocking on the door trying to be your friend. It's like you told me how you feel. You don't want me around. Okay, no problem. Very weird to me that they keep on knocking and they know they can't come in.
He's like the guy in the Shawshank Redemption that they call the head of the sisters. And he says to Andy Dufresne, I could be a friend to you.
Yeah, that's how creepy it is.
Right. Because you'd have to be human to be homosexual.
Yeah, I used that the other day. Nathan said something. I say, no, they have to be human first to be that.
But we said they want the argument. They need the argument. That's what they want.
I don't even think it's about that anymore. With certain people, it is. Don't get me wrong, but there's a certain few that it's not even about it anymore. It's about them trying to be relevant, putting together these fancy dichotomies with words and saying, "Have you heard of mine? Have you afraid to debate mine?" Oh, Flat Earthers used it, and they have to agree with me. What is Nathan scared of? Now it's all about Nathan. You know, it's not about the argument anymore.
It's like
Now it's just
Andy
let's
Dufresne.
attack Nathan.
Andy Dufresne then sits down in the yard with Red. He says, would it matter if I told them that I'm not a heliocentrist? And Red replies, you have to be human first.
Yeah. Doesn't qualify. So you have to be human first.
Yeah, I seriously do wonder is because that little group, the Bevites, like they get around and they pat each other on the back for attacking Nathan, right? That's why they come over here and get their heads stomped in so often, so they can pick out little sound bites, right? So that is their life. They have built their life up around some weird religion of Nathan Oakley. That's
Yeah,
scary.
and they claim us, and they say we're the disciples. Oh boy, they're very confused. You know what? I guess it's cool to want to be around, like they want to be around us. So I guess it's a compliment. But I don't want to be around people like that. They suck the energy right out of you. Look, I'm flat broke and I'm happy. because I don't have people sapping the energy out of me here. I could come here and I could freaking relieve myself, you know? Talk about things not pertaining to finances. Even though Nathan always talks about it, it reminds me how freaking poor I am. But still, you can get away. It's not a total sap of energy. You know, there's hope on the horizon.
Yeah, I mean, why do you seek out people you don't agree with to spend your time with? It seems weird, doesn't it? Like it's just alien to me.
Because you're sitting and watching the movie, and there is a guy next to you telling you, this is not good movie. This is awful movie. And then you come tomorrow to see that movie again, and that guy is sitting there and telling you again the same story. This movie, it's awful. Why are you watching this movie?
And he's watching it again, right?
Yeah.
That's the same thing they do. That's a good one. I like that one. This movie sucks. Honey, can you, oh, they don't have a honey. Forget about that. Take that back. This movie sucks. Let me see if I can order it on DVD. I could just keep playing it all the time because they're here every day. Attention. I could give a roll call, but I don't want to give their name any relevancy. You know who you are. Yeah, it's like they want you to hang out with them. And they do that all the time. Come on over, have a conversation. Have a conversation.
Yeah, like
I
the
don't
creepy,
even want to freaking be around you.
like the creepy girls in The Shining. Come play with us.
And the kids shocked and looking at them because they don't realize that they're torn apart. They've been torn apart. Why would anybody want to hang out with you? You got your guts hanging out, your head's half off. You've been freaking murdered by your father.
Yeah, although metaphorical, they are broken men that we're dealing with. And they've got too much time on their hands. Like, number one, we're talking about men in their 50s and 60s appealing to you to be their friend online. Like, this reeks. This, you reek of desperation. You know that? It's kind of gross.
Have they offered you any candy, Neil?
No, but they don't even think to call me Godfather. Be my friend, Godfather. Good.
I'm happy to buy into that. They can kiss my ring.
That's a bad analogy because in this analogy, according to Fisherman in the Box, Nathan's the Don, but if he's the Don, I'm the underboss. Refracted, you are definitely, I won't even have to say it. Nathan, what is refracted in the family?
I don't
Very
know.
important to the family.
He's the solicitor.
He's the consigliere.
What's that mean?
Solicitor.
The
you know, the
advisor,
solicitor.
very important to the family. Like Sonny, when he said, I've had a wartime consigliere, look what I got. Very important, especially in wartime.
He's their legal counsel.
Like a lawyer.
He's a lawyer, yeah, legal counsel. But he's also the first to give the first in line to give advice to the main man, basically.
Yep. The Don goes to him for counsel. Well, consigliere of mine, why don't you tell me what everybody else seems to know? Well, that's the Godfather again. You get so many analogies from that.
You're right there, fellas. It was
Hello.
a very good opening monologue to the show today, Nathan. Very good,
you.
very concise, very entertaining.
Thank Neil. It was down to him enraging me in the pre-show. So you can thank Neil for it.
I was trying to, but
What did you say? What did I say that enraged you?
Well, you talk a good talk, but you don't walk a good walk. But that's beneficial to the show, so I don't necessarily want to pour scorn on you for that, Neil. Like,
I know, but I think it was Surf Daddy with Pastor Duffy
was it Surf
that
Daddy?
got you all twisted.
No,
Yeah,
Pastor
he's
Duffy.
the one
No,
talking to Pastor
no.
Duffy. I was the one that got in the messages. The guy was bugging out because he's a flat earther, but somebody brought up south, and you can't navigate south, so it's a good question.
Now you're deflecting my motivation away from the reality of what's definitely blamable on you. I just don't necessarily want to, because I don't want you to not do what you're doing. What you're doing is suggesting that these people are inconsequential to us and that we should walk away and ignore them. But you're doing a good job of communicating that fact with them. Do you see the irony there?
Oh, yeah. I know. But I just am not naming them. I'm not telling you their names.
Oh, Len, thank you very much for the enormous PayPal. My wife will be delighted.
Enormous? It's only 10 pence a show, Nathan, but you're more than welcome.
It's a lot of money. Thank you very much.
What we're saying is Neil's driving home the fact that we don't need him, we shouldn't talk to him. But
Hold on, wait a second, one deck. I'll bring up like random people in the chat, like I did. But then when you get 100 messages, one's gonna come through that annoys you. Say, this will be good to talk about, but never mention them by name. Nobody else knows. They know.
I think it's good. I think it's good when you do a little bit of that in the show. And we respond to some of these stupid. I mean, obviously, you won't spend all day doing it. But, we don't get. It's not like they're on air and you're shouting and screaming. It's just reading the odd comment like you do. I think it fits in well with the show. Yeah, I like that.
I think if nothing else, it's hilarious.
Like when the show was over and the after show was over and the book editing was over, I sent Refracted some map that a certain party sent us. How he measured Earth not to be flat, but the map that he's describing it on, he's got all his flat measurements.
He's got his degrees, miles, altitude, elevation.
No, he's got a straight line from freaking Blackpool to wherever.
Yeah, straight lines can be curved, Neil.
Yeah, straight the curved way, bro.
I had a whole theme for today and I didn't get to it at all. So I'll just tell you what this is. We'll probably talk about it tomorrow, right? I was watching a judge talk about his work in a capacity for divorce courts. So he's like separating out people's lives and separating out their kids. And he's specifically talking about the hearings that he'd have where the custody of the children were in question. And the phrase that he said, I'll just state it right. He said, claims are admissions. That's what he said. So what he goes on to describe, let me just turn my fan off in the kitchen. Just give me a second. What he describes is a father or mother telling the judge that they were neglectful of their kids, bonkers, and then describing how much they did. Yeah? Does that make sense? Now, this judge is essentially saying that when he hears that, so he hears the dad say, she was bonkers, she never took responsibility for the kids to get them to school, I was the one who drove them everywhere. What the judge hears is, this man is nuts and never took the kids to school once. That's what he's hearing. That's what he's explaining. He's explaining that in his experience, the people who go around claiming that the other people, projection, are bonkers and wrong and not doing this, that and the other, is actually in his courtroom an admission of their guilt in that regard. They are just projecting their own claim as a guilty admission by themselves. That's how he would take it. Now, obviously, he's explained that he's got to have this backed up by the judge, the lawyers and the claimants and participants in the jury, or in the courtroom rather, to actually substantiate something that demonstrates opposite. But he was saying that in his experience, what would be the case is somebody says, she never did anything. She never paid for anything. She never took them to school. I did all that. It turns out that they did none of it when the evidence actually starts to come in. It shows that they didn't do anything. They didn't support the kids. They didn't give the wife any money. She was the one running them all to school and cooking their packed lunches. You see what I mean? So why am I telling you all this?
Hold on. And Solomon, in the wisdom of Solomon, 2 women came to him fighting over the baby, both claiming it was their baby. So Solomon said, give me my sword. I'll cut the baby in half and both of you will take part. And guess what? The real mother said, nope, you can give the baby to her. It's her baby. And then Solomon knew that, no, it's your baby. So it's like sort of like a wisdom of Solomon thing.
Well, no, it's about having people let out their guilt in statements they make.
Yep.
Right. If somebody's calling you a fag, it's probably because they got some latent homosexuality.
Good, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I did that. That happened on a recent show. Somebody started asking me about my involvement with men or boys or she-males or something like that. I can't remember, dwarfs.
You had 10 questions.
Yeah. And I was like, sounds like we've got a homosexual here. Because if one of your questions that you're asking everybody is how gay are you, then you're going around asking people how gay they are. That's just a fact. You know what I mean? Now, there's a good chance that person's probably a closet homosexual because they're very interested to know how gay next man is. It's like me, I very rarely concern myself with it, to the point where if there's a gay man in front of me, my wife has to point out that that person's probably gay. Which person, I say. You know what I mean? Because I don't care. It's only the people who care about it that project those things onto the next man. So in this example, you've got people who are coming around telling us, what's Nathan scared of? Oh, are you scared of me? That's what I hear.
Exactly. You hit it right on the head. And that guy fell right into it because he said, no. I ask everybody these questions. So you really are a homosexual.
My boyfriend can get a bit like that.
Oh, you beat me to that one just like by a second. Damn it.
I didn't hear what he said.
Say my boyfriend can be a bit like that sometimes.
Is that the one that you hit with a shot to the jaw?
Yeah, that's him.
That show was on the other day, the 6-hour show, where certain people get very frustrated. So, when they know that they're highlighted on the show, they'll come in, they'll try to get in the chat and try to throw words in, but I'm there just knocking them out of the box. And they come back with like 10 different freaking accounts.
Well, yeah. Usually when they attack, though, right, they'll attack you with the insult that hurts them the most. So someone who is overly concerned with whether they're gay or not will call everyone fags. Someone who's scared that they're not intelligent enough to understand something will call everyone else stupid. I think that's what you're talking about, right, Nathan?
Yeah. There's a fine line when you do that. So to not be accused of doing that, I actually take ownership. I go the other end of the extreme. So when I say, you are inconsequential to this subject matter, so am I. In other words, I implicitly understand that this is a direct reflection of me and my own fears and concerns when I put that out there. So rather than leaving it unsaid and having someone go, actually, Nathan just doesn't realise how unimportant he is to the subject as a response. Because suddenly you're like, oh, well, that sounds like a response. And I'm going to take that away from you too, with a bit of introspection. Lead by example. I'm inviting my audience, this current rhetoric, to have a bit of introspection. Actually analyse how important they really are to the subject. Now, that introspection might actually lead to some new discoveries, people actually doing things practically. Like, oh, right, so rather than sitting around arguing with Nextman about how wrong he is, I could be out there discovering new lands, making new maps, developing new navigation systems. Yeah, you could. Absolutely, you could be doing that. Me, what do I want to do? I trained in performing arts. I'm a YouTuber. I'm doing it. I'm already living my dream. What are you doing? Arguing with some next man fart sniffing dweeb with jam jars for glasses. You keep saying actually to you, and you keep responding to it, feeding it. Well, that doesn't seem like my dream, but you be you. But I would personally suggest, as my audience should, that they have, as I have also, some introspection in this regard to assess how significant they are to the subject matter. And when you realise you're not, you go, well, why would that be the case that I, of no significance, am the one having the argument? You're like, so that the process of utilising flat Earth measurements to believe in a globe can take place without anyone mentioning it. That's the why of you being in this debate. Not so that you can change the world, but you've got to stand back from it all to realise that. Now, that's pretty hard. It's painful for some people. Don't get me wrong. It was painful for me. You're like, oh, my God. So this was all a waste of time. You're like, well, no. What was I doing the whole time? Producing YouTube videos. I've done 2,500 of them. I'm delighted with myself for doing it. And I've had 2 kids in the process, right? They've come along while I've been doing this. Life's sweet. I'm a bit poor, but that's not the be-all and end-all of life.
What you're describing, though, is the people on the black team and the white team passing the balls back and forth, right? While the bear dances behind them. And at the end of it, they're sitting in their jerseys. And they never even seen the bear. They're arguing about how many passes were thrown the whole time, right? So that's the group that we walked away from, the first group.
Yeah.
But there's also the second group that missed the curtain part because they seen the bear, right? That's the belief that the Earth is flat because they know it's not a sphere. There's that group who missed the curtains changing colors.
Right. And we're going, this process of having curtains change colour, people bouncing balls, and a bear in a costume walking past, even if you weren't the one who happened to see that, that still took place. The only reason it's taking place is so that you can watch it and potentially engage with it. That's it. But you're inconsequential to whether or not cameras can film things, sound studios can produce audio, whether or not the set designer can dress the set, and the voiceover artist can describe it to you. Those things are all happening, inconsequential of whether or not you're asked the question. And your answer to the question seems important. Like, after you've seen that, you think, I must tell the world there's a bear there. You're like, no. You mustn't. But I'm changing the world, letting them know there's a bear. Are you? Really? So what did you do? Did you set the setup? Did you dress in the bear costume? Did you change the colour of the lights on the curtains? Oh, you didn't do any of that. Did you intend to do that? Are you going to come up with a new phosphorescent lamp? You're not. Okay. So just explain to me again why this is important that we're having this conversation, because you're telling me my balls should be removed and I should jump off buildings.
Your fellow man needs to know the truth, Nathan. There's so many lies. We've been lied to by everyone. You heard that, Lady Shines. Everybody lies.
Yeah.
The whole world lies. Everything's a lie.
Yeah, but listen, I can understand what Nathan's saying, because that's Nathan's business. He's a YouTuber. What you've just explained, that's what you do, Nathan, and you do a great job of it. But if I just reflect on myself, I have spent a lot of wasted time arguing with knuckleheads about the shape of the Earth and what horizontal means and level. I have wasted time on it.
Hold on. The wasted time once you come to an understanding of it, and you still argue with them.
No, you're wrong too, Neil. You're the one who's being told the curtains change colour.
Before that, we didn't know. We thought we were changing everything.
But did knowing change anything? Did you need to know?
Yeah, but we didn't know that till now.
So what you realised at the end of the process is that you had no bearing on it. And what Wandek's reflecting on is how, given that when you reach a conclusion that it's flat, but also simultaneously realise that you had no bearing on those facts and they were being utilised anyway, you look back and go, so when I argued with Joe Rogan about this subject, was that worth my time? Now I can go, yeah, I got to promote my book on Joe Rogan. But you go, no, nothing was achieved from that. That's what Wandek's saying. He hasn't got a separate hat he can look back on and go, I'm still proud of me producing YouTube content for 10 years. He's just saying all I did was waste time with knuckleheads.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Are we talking about during the show, while the show, or after the show on our own time?
I'm saying
because
in this moment.
I consider this.
Go on, Neil.
I'm just saying, I consider what we do here totally different. This is a show, and I'm happy to be part of the show. So I don't consider this a waste of time. I'm sorry. Even when I'm working, I have it on and I get involved. To me, it's not a waste of time. I enjoy this show.
Yeah, so therefore you're deriving entertainment from it. But what Wandek's saying, sorry to speak for you, Wandek, is that when you're arguing on a Discord server, nobody else is listening. You're just trying to convince that knucklehead that he's wrong or right. What was the fruit of that labour?
Nothing. Nothing. And that's why I said, are you talking about the show or after the show? So Discord, yeah, that's a waste of freaking time. Even if you're trying to help people along. Why? Because what are they going to do?
Looking forward, there is a potential that people who have that level of introspection do say, but I can make a new calendar. You're like, yeah, you can. That's where you've fell under the guises of the people who've created these systems that you now live under. But that doesn't mean that before those systems existed, the great men we can ascribe describing things in violation of the measurements with heliocentrism didn't just pluck it out of their ass. They did. They plucked it out of their ass, and now you worship him. Well, if you want to be worshipped, then maybe that's your route to being worshipped if you come up with a new system. If you just want to be useful to the world, then maybe you'll come up with a new clock. Who knows? But so long as you're wasting your time arguing with fart sniffers to no avail, then you won't be doing anything fruitful, will you? Now, me, I'm an entertainer and I'm entertaining people. I can see that as very worthwhile. But if I actually offer something useful to them, it's the ability to say, I've got to draw a line somewhere. I've got to stop wanking eventually and go out and actually find a woman. Well, that's what I'm suggesting they do by metaphor. Stop wanking, go and find a woman so you can produce something.
On the other hand, though, like I'm saying, sorry, John.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, like, being around you guys is, you know, it's fun for me. I feel like the old dude in the little deli at the corner store kind of feel like just hanging out with some guys and bullshitting, basically.
Yeah,
exactly.
I couldn't agree more. That's the other thing that comes out. Fruit is born from making friends and having relationships with people. So long as you can appreciate what is going on this second, right? While I go on camera just because I'm looking like I mean, right? Look at me. I'm as comfortable as I could possibly be. I'm in my recliner with my feet up and my coffee in my hand, talking about this with you. Life's pretty sweet, but you have to be able to recognize how good things are in the moment and soak them up for what they are. And it's the little pleasures in life, at sharing time with friends, is what we're talking about now, that you can make an entire sitcom out of. Now, don't get me wrong, in Friends, the sitcom, a majority of the time being discussed is frivolous and fruitless and not actually going to have much bearing on anybody. You know, Joey coming in wearing all of Chandler's clothes. Could a bee wearing any more clothes? What did it serve anything? Did it earn him any money? Did it earn his mortgage? As I've used that rhetoric. No. But was he having fun in the moment? Yeah, that's what life's about. Now, don't get me wrong. There are certain times in the comedy known as Friends where certain circumstances arise that are a little bit more serious. The deeper aspects of people's relationships get assessed. And I do suggest that we assess what we are now all subject matter experts in when we, from the outside, look in on flat earth debate. We can still continue to do that, and will, because that's what we've all got on expertise in. But those are the times that things get a little bit more serious, as long as we all, like John's just described, enjoy the moment and enjoy the process. Don't see that we're the secret king going to change the world. It's like, oh, God, it reeks. It's just stinky.
If I think about it another way, I mean, obviously my last comment, but I'm not regretting what has happened to me or now thinking what was all that about, I'm done. I think my path was laid out for me for some reason, and I maybe had to go through that, and it could be for personal reasons from the creator or whatever. You know, I had to go through this, and I am where I am now, and I might not have been the person I am now if that didn't happen. So I always say these things happen for a reason, and we've come to some realization now, and we're reflecting upon it, and I just feel that, in my personal opinion, I was meant to go down this road, which
Right.
always leads to a flat Earth in the end.
Absolutely. So what you're describing now is very much an egocentric position to take, a self-centered position, right? How does this affect me? And it's been the case for 10 years that most people in the arena are projecting out ignorance and inadequacies with vitriol towards a separate group, that for whatever reason they've come across a piece of information that suggests they, as former members of that group, were wrong. Rather than having the introspection to say, I was wrong, and then move on, they want to point the finger of blame out towards the group, the existing members, and cast aspersions on them, tell them they don't understand, all the vitriol that we receive by mirror from our opponents when we do that. Now, you can look back on that and go, that didn't achieve much, and you'd be right. And you can then have the introspection to go, however, going through that mill has refined me, therefore worth it. And if somebody might say, oh, well, you're clutching at straws to justify the waste of time. I'm like, no. For whatever reason, we now, if we're all enjoying this moment, got to be where we are by way of that journey, and through that refinement. So no, you can easily justify it not being a waste of time. But when you continue to do it after the fact, that's when it stinks. You're like, you know this isn't achieving anything. This is just masturbation now. Now that somebody's pointed out to you that it's not achieving anything, why would you continue? Then that's what we'll start doing to the group. You know, and don't get me wrong, initially, it's going to cost me at least 5 subscribers.
What we're offering is introspection. All we're asking, and all we need to ask, is for everyone, including ourselves, starting with ourselves, introspection. And that an example of that was months and months ago when there was a big debate with AI overlord guy. And you did a whole show. I think you titled it, introspection, AI's introspection from himself. Because all we did was ask him to reflect on his thoughts, his motivations, and his just to introspect what he was saying and thinking. That's all we can offer. Your best offer is to sit down at the table and offer that everyone be introspective about their own ideas of reality and stuff like that. Introspection is the word of the day.
Yeah. But where people want to project out their own inadequacies rather than face them, forcing them to face them will get you a certain amount of hatred. But I already feel like the majority of the people who would have not seen this coming have already purged themselves from our presence anyway. Like, that's why I joke and say it's going to cost me at least 5 subscribers. You're like, no, it probably won't cost me any. You know, there'll be a verbal 1 or 2, and they've already gone, all right, I'm off. You're like, bye, don't let the door hit you. Because I don't like the blonde I described on the live show, those people are a freaking liability. They're the ones that will eventually lead to you getting told that your kid should be taken away. That's what they represent to me. You're like, no, I'm glad that you're on your way out. Meanwhile, we're all very zen, describing the beautiful moment we're enjoying together for what it is, knowing full well that people after that introspection may actually achieve some ends, but they're not going to achieve it with arguing with dweebs who also have no bearing on the subject that they're arguing about. You're not going to move the world forward. You're not going to move the needle in any way doing that. Now that you understand that, hard though it may be, and painful though it might be to reflect on what can be perceived as described by one deck as a waste of time, don't. You know, if that's too painful, don't have the level of introspection where you look back on the past and negatively reflect upon it, just go, oh, right, okay, jolly good. Keep an upward inflection in your voice and move forward. But just don't make the same mistakes over and over again. Don't go back to an old habit where you're arguing with some dweeb because they say you don't understand something.
Yeah, but if you don't argue,
Like
Nathan, you get called a shill. Now, right now, you and I and everybody else on the panel is being the number one shills because they feel like we have deserted the flat earth debate.
We have. There isn't a debate.
At the moment, sorry, Nathan.
Well, we just want to agree. Those people who say we've abandoned the debate, yeah, we have. We've said there is no prize in debating. There's no win in the debate. And any claim debate takes place with flat earth prerequisites to begin with. On screen now is eye level and surface level parallel with one another for an Al-Biruni derivation of an R value that violates the base principle measurement. Now that has sent a reasonable chunk of audience members, if they're reading that in my book, for instance, to sleep. Because it's boring. It's boring. Now that we understand it, we can say, well, that's a stage of my life that was boring. I can move on. Now, it doesn't change that I know it, and it's filling up space in my head, and it's occupied that space after 10 years of research, but I know it. If I know that surface level is a requirement, we've got a surface level. Okay, so why would I debate anything? If you debate this on screen, then you haven't got a surface level. Well, you can't derive the H value. You can't derive the S value below the surface level. You can't do the trig to get the H. None of it works unless you've got surface level. Now, is this mine? I mean, I'm being told that I've ascribed a radial value because I described the heliocentric radial value earlier when I was in the kitchen doing the dishwasher. Like, being able to describe this on screen does not mean it's mine. Doesn't mean that I lean into this as my proof of Earth being flat because of a labelled surface level in a prerequisite mathematics that describes Earth curve. That doesn't mean that this is mine. Doesn't mean that the H value is accurate based on the trig that's done in real-world flat Earth measurements. It doesn't make any difference. I'm not using this. I'm just saying that the people who do have a flat Earth in their religion that they can't get away from. So how can I possibly say that there's a debate? Now, when people say, well, you're walking away from the debate, yeah, I am. That's correct. You can carry on debating about a surface level that they need for you to say that the Earth doesn't bend. It's like, for it to bend, you needed surface level. Now you've bent it, you're saying it isn't bent. So everybody ignores the surface level for there to be a debate. That seems stupid. I'm not going to repeat the mistakes that I've made over the last 10 years when I didn't recognise that all arguments required a flat plane of reference to begin with. Now I know that they all require a flat plane of reference to begin with. I recognise there is no debate. So what, you're saying I need to recognise there's no debate but stay within it? That's stupid.
I feel like, well said, Nathan, by the way. A couple of things, though. I've thought for a while that we're going to come to this point we're at now. I have felt it. I have voiced it for a few months that we're going to get to a point and something is going to change. Not that we'll change or we'll change our views, but the way the show goes, the way that we're going to be talking about things. And that's happening. It started with the normie videos, probably. We've even spoke about it last week now about the behaviour, maybe going into a psychological looking at how the brain works and how people function when the beliefs are challenged. So we've spoke about all that. So we're at a bit of a pause area now, I think. A little bit of calmness, not before a storm, but you know what I mean. And you're right. We're realising there's no need to be arguing about this, because all the time we're doing that and they want us to do that, that's keeping us there. It's stopping us moving forward. And that's what we need to break free from. We need to cut that chain. Otherwise, we won't step forward for new dynamic change. So that's where we are at the moment.
Yeah, it's like breakwaters, I think they're called. There's a point off the coast where the water gets very turbulent, there's very heavy undertows, there's huge waves, and you have to battle your way through it. And once you get past that, you're onto the level water. You know, it's very calm by comparison. Well, that by metaphor is the debate, the breakwaters. Now, once you break free of those and get beyond those, you can look back and go, well, what was the point in fighting? The water was level beyond them the whole time. Yeah, but like one deck's introspection, you go, but if you hadn't have paddled through the breakwaters, you'd have never have known that. Now, did you need to know that? Did you need to get beyond the breakwaters? No, you didn't need to. But you are. You're beyond the breakwaters. So good for you. What are you going to do now? Are you going to develop a new system? Are you going to develop a new calendar? Are you going to bring us a new map? It's like, if none of the above are true, just enjoy the calm water. You don't have to do anything. You can just chill. There's no more paddling to be done. The sails are up and you're on your way. That's it. Just enjoy your margarita.
And read the book.
I agree with that, but there's still a lot, like we're going to find out. You mentioned the subscribers. There's people, listeners of the show, who still want that debate, so-called debate, want the argument, want to listen to you, Nathan, rip globers apart. We're not, we're a little bit more advanced than that now, but there is still people. So it's not just us. It's, we've got to keep talking about this and look and find out what is the next step. Where's this leading us to? Like I say, we're in that little bit of a lull at the moment, but it gives us time to think and relax and be calm. We're not thinking about that deeply at the moment.
Actually, somebody just posted a whole proof of curvature. I posted it in Master B. You want to talk about boring? Go look at that chart in Master B. Who would waste their time even looking at that? I'm glad we're in the position we're in, to be honest.
But the first line on there references in brackets WGS84. Now, we all just know that's a mathematical model which has been accepted for the world. That we live on a spheroid, and these are going to be the calculations, mathematical calculations after the measurement of the elevation angles taken from sea level. So, I mean, that's just common knowledge. But I know that. Do I need to start replying to say, well, the WGS84 system is mathematical, and if you do some searches on it, it will tell you it's mathematical. It's not actually measurements. It's a calculation after. You know what I mean? You can go on and on and on.
One deck on the bottom, it says Globe Model Horizon did predictions. What are you talking about? The Globe Model predicted this. Did predictions. This is where they confuse science and the scientific method with measurements.
All we've got to do is look at Al-Biruni's measurements and Eratosthenes', because they're obviously flat Earth measurements. They measured the Earth to be flat, and then mathematically calculated it into a globe, just like the globe Earth calculator. Called a calculator for a reason. It's not the globe Earth measurement tool, it's the globe Earth calculator. It's calculating sphericity after the fact that Earth's been measured flat from surface level and eye level with a depression angle in between. And once you know this, everything's like pretty understandable and pretty chilled. If you can't understand it, then that's your problem.
Yeah, some guy came in and he had my icon. He used my name and called me and Nathan the biggest shows of the century or something like that. Because this the way we're moving forward with this.
Like I said, though, we're not moving. We haven't just thought, right, we've got to stop all this now. It was a gradual progression. It was a natural change. Yeah, it was, wasn't it? We didn't say 2 months ago, right, we've got to, in the next 2 months, we need to change things because, you know, we're going to have to say this. It's happened gradually. You could say, I don't know where it started. Well, it started from when it started. This was the path we've been down all along, and this is where we are now, like we've just said. We haven't decided to alter anything. This is where we are with it. We've realised that Earth is measured flat, and the Greeks all knew that because they measured angles using sticks and shadows. I mean, the globe must be flat for horizontal shadows. Al-Biruni knew the Earth was flat. He measured the height of a mountain like that. And when I was a sailor navigating the sea, the surface of the ocean appeared very flat to me. Triangulation on the surface of Earth, all achievable without one use of a curve. So there you go. The globe is measured flat.
This is where I wish I had my radio mic in the kitchen. Yes, that's correct. Yes, indeedy.
Yep.
See, the problem is, yes, we understand it's not a debate, but they're not getting what we're putting forward. There seems to be a delay with everybody, like understanding what we're doing. So there's a slight delay, and it's causing a little feedback.
We're going to stay recording for a little bit longer. I said to my wife, who's just got back from a play date, I was like, do you want to do a bit of the book? And she's hangry. She hasn't eaten anything. She's like, stop trying to occupy all of my time with everything. I went, I've got 250 quid for you in PayPal. Oh, I'll do the book later.
I was just going to say, you're getting paid. Get to work, lady.
Did I just hear Dex say the globe is measured flat?
It is. To measure the globe, to extrapolate, it's a misnomer. The description's too short, it's too abbreviated, but it's amusing, which is why I love it. When you say the globe's measured flat, it's a literal contradiction in terms.
Wait a second. That's my original thing I said.
However...
And you fought against it.
Yeah, because it's a contradiction in terms, but now it's amusing to me, because if you extrapolate out and justify that contradiction in terms, you can say, in order to derive a arc measurement as the surface, you would first need to achieve said arc measurement with a minimal radial value based on an elevation angle. Therefore, in order to achieve a globe, for you to believe you're standing on the arc of a protractor, you must first measure Earth flat. Or to put it more succinctly, the globe's measured flat.
And the Greeks all knew that.
Indeed.
That's what I'm saying. So when you research how the globe was measured, you'll get the Eratosthenes measuring the globe flat. That's what did it for me.
What is also interesting, Neil, is the reason I would have told you off in the moment is because in my own fart-sniffing way, my perception that it's critically important that this is communicable to next man was of heightened importance back then. Therefore, putting something into a contradiction in terms when you're trying to educate next man, because that's of vital importance, is detrimental to the process of educating that next man. Now I go, yeah, your next man don't matter. So who cares? It's just, what do we want to do so that we can have a laugh here together, right? That's it.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to push back on this because I do remember there's certain people that contact you and let you know, Nathan, you're doing God's work. What do we do with that?
I mean, I am selfish when I give praise to Jesus, right? I say, thank you for Len. Thank you so much. I'm so poor. I am so grateful that people like Len give me £250. I am truly blessed. Thank you, Jesus.
Nice one, Len.
Exactly. Thank you, Len.
Len is ace.
But like you say, the thing is now, we need to, what we're saying is, we know what we're saying. I'm trying to, once you know the Earth is measured flat, once you've got some people might not have it all tidily tied up in the brain. They might be saying Earth's measured flat and things like that, but not actually realising that, like the globe was measured flat, and that's how we've got the globe from. There's some people who are not there yet with that, how the globe was calculated after flat Earth measurements. So, like Neil's just said, there's a little bit of a delay sometimes. Even the people who are saying the Earth's measured flat and talking about horizontal and sea level, they've not actually put the jigsaw. There's a couple of jigsaw puzzles missing still for them.
Yeah, it's a shame it involves the dweeby process. So when on the live show I was saying that we're taking away that dweeb's ability to feel like he's got something to lord over next man when he understands orbital motion. What you're saying is, well, to understand how it's defied and requiring flat Earth prerequisites, you first have to go through the process of learning how, an orbital motion functions, so you can understand how the globe has utilised flat Earth measurements of elevation angles in order to achieve a radius, to convert into sphericity, for you to say how it's not spherical, and then realise after that fact, with debate being the waste of time it was, that it was measured flat to begin with. Well, that is, unfortunately, quite dweeby, because the in-between bit that the dweeb's really enjoying knowing as his 12-year-old self feels that he's experiencing space in some capacity by learning about this bullshit, right? You would have to, by default, go through that process as well. You can't not. Therefore, you have to go through some fart-sniffing dweeby behaviour to get to where you're at. Now, that, to me, does kind of leave a bit of a bad taste in my mouth, because you're like... It really came home while I was going through some of this stuff with my wife last night, and she literally started falling asleep while I was telling her.
Train spotting. You said you're going to change it to train spotting, and that's something, because I was thinking about it, saying I hate using that terminology, fart sniffer, because it's so vulgar. But I like train spotting.
So what was you saying to Paula to make her fall asleep then, Nathan?
I was talking about why the dweebs hate us. I was saying when the dweebs have learned something, that they can stand on a table in their gamma way and, ladies and gentlemen, stone cold silence as I speak on how orbits work. And I explain that when we demote these dweebs to having no importance in the arena, I've received more vitriol in recent times, like literally the last 6 months, than I have for the entire 10 years. It's been bad enough for 10 years, but when I'm going, it's not even that important, we don't have any bearing on it, suddenly I'm literally getting people tell me that they're going to report me to the police and that my kids should be taken away, and all that sort of stuff has increased as a consequence of that. So, we're taking that away from the dweebs, making what they thought was important less important, and it was the only thing that they were hanging on to seem societally important.
Yeah. I get you, because what you're doing is, and what we're doing is, saying it's over, and they don't want it to be over. That their world is ending in a way. We're saying, we've dealt with this now. We've dealt with it. Earth is measured flat. We can explain how it's measured flat. We can explain how you've got your globe from flat Earth elevation angle measurements. sea level and altitude and elevation profiles, mapping, distances. We can rhyme it off all day long. We've won. Not that it was a battle, but you know what I mean. It was. We're on top of the game now, and it's over for them.
You can use that language. You can say that you've won when you're walking outside of the arena is winning, right? If potential in the arena is to have your head cut off. Now, by metaphor, that's what we were perceived to be doing. We were battling it out in the arena, and then we walk out of the arena and go, well, that's winning. That's actually when you win. Like, I described it by metaphor as breaking free of the breakwaters. Is that the right term, by the way? Breakwaters. Am I using the right terminology? Do you know what I mean by that? Like all the waves and wash on just off the shoreline.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I understood when you said it. And
I didn't hear what he said.
How dare you not listen to this?
A lot of noise going on right now. Did you say breaking free in the breakwaters?
Yeah.
Are you talking to them people you're not talking to anymore, Neil?
My house. My house is very noisy at the moment because in Alabama, it's like 70 degrees. And last week it was 20. Well, not exactly 20, but it was cold. Now it's 70. Sunny, beautiful.
No, but going back to that, you need to meditate on that. It's we're telling them it's ended now. We're telling you it's over, and we've won. What? No, you've not. You can't say that. You know what I mean? This is why they're behaving a bit differently and getting a little bit more aggressive, maybe. Like you've just said, Nathan, you've not had that much in the vitriol in the 10 years, the last 6 months or 12 months or whatever. It's over. We're telling you it's over, and that's like a sour pill to taste for them. We've got our heads held high, walking out in victory, announcing our victory. And they're finding it difficult. But like I say, it was a natural path. It's just happened naturally, I think. You look at the stages along the way, like, I don't know, you can start from celestial navigation maybe, and then whatever, and then other, measured flat, and I don't know, then we had the 30 words, and then we've had other bits and pieces going on. It's sort of all, get rid of the McKeegans, let's stop fucking wasting time on going over listening to idiots talk about what horizontal is. Let's get some normies on the videos, surveyors, map making people. Yeah, so we're progressing, we're changing, we're evolving, and now we're here. Just got to live in the moment, Neil. Everything is just funny. Now.
And it's funny, Deck, where we were and where we are, the Earth was always flat, measured flat.
Yeah, but where we are, D. Rose, we seem to get a lot of pushback. I mean, there's people leaving horrible. Listen, there's people leaving comments and after Nathan's show Friday that they're dialing out and calling me and him shills because I stand behind them 100%. Nathan's the guy, We're loyal. But he's right too. I mean, if you're talking about something and you're not correct, I'm not going to be with you. But if you're correct, I'm with you all the way. When I say I'm with you, I mean I'm with you. My blue heaven.
Whether it be Neil, whether it be Nathan, whether it be me, whether it be John, whether it be whoever, the Earth is flat. And the only person that we can credit it to that has stand on it and stood on it and evolved and just kept on progressing it. And where we are right now, you either rock with them or you don't rock with them. It doesn't change the fact whether you rock with them or not, because the Earth is measured flat. But you can't deny the fact. You can't deny the fact that Nathan's right and everybody else is wrong. And everybody that agrees with Nathan and rides with Nathan is right and everybody else is wrong. But even if Nathan was never born, it would still be the same. Somebody else would be standing in Nathan's position.
Perfectly
And when
put.
Nathan is gone, when we're all gone, somebody gonna have to stand in that position. And from the beginning of time till now, and in between, when Nathan is gone and we're all gone, the earth is measured flat, period.
Just to, that well
And
said,
he's
Zero.
also
Like,
he's also stating that it's no, like, we all are irrelevant to it. It is. None of us are doing anything. And arguing with somebody
listen.
over it in Discord is a waste of time. I don't go there. I haven't been in Discord in the longest time.
No, I've not. But listen, I said it to you the other week, Neil. I don't know if anyone else feels like this. I think I spoke to Neil. When I first realised or believed the earth was flat with no actual evidence or anything, it was a really strong feeling that I had, immediate feeling that I felt strongly with. Like all of us, we all know each other's story a little bit. But listen. But I've always had a feeling that I'd sort of be a part of something with this subject. And then obviously I've stumbled on FED a few years ago, and then obviously done a few poems, and then we've had a little bit of disruption going on, and I'm in this sort of I feel like I'm in the final group of this, and I was always meant to be in the final group for some reason. That was even though I just always thought that I would end up in the final group, if you can understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and I got to give you credit. I heard the show the other day, and yes, you did say, Nathan, you should put the newest and most relevant housekeeping at the end of the book. I heard you say yesterday when Nathan replayed one of the shows, I was like, son of a gun, he did say it first.
I did, mate. I did. Yeah.
Because I thought of it on my own, and I heard you come and say, wait a second, I said that. And then I heard it yesterday. I said, son of a gun, he did say it.
And what would that be?
Should be on the that should be on the final page. Say what it is, Neil. Go on, you say.
I think that would be great, because then he can round it up by saying and everything, all the housekeeping questions, redundant, because the only important one is there any way you can measure Earth any other way than flat, or however Nathan phrases it? And that's the only one it's not malformed, is it? No, there's no other way. There's only one way to measure it, and that's flat.
Well, on that show, Nate, I can't remember what show it was. Nathan asked 4 or 5 times when we was going through that on one of the shows, and I don't know if Sodbuster was on there at that point or whatever, but nobody stepped up to give us any other way that Earth's measured other than flat, because there is none. There is no other way to explain. You'll be mentioning horizontal, you'll be mentioning sea level, elevation, altitude, elevation angles. That's all you'll be talking about, and all them words I've just mentioned are part of the 30 words, which is nothing to do with measuring Earth curvature.
That's right. Nobody gave an answer to that new, updated, and only relevant housekeeping question, did they?
No. Because they know it can't be answered. Because there is no other way Earth was measured other than flat.
Oh,
The Greeks all knew that.
Yeah, Alberoni, Eratosthenes, right? They all measured it flat. I mean,
yeah,
are they going to deny them now?
They can't deny it. It's there. It's in books. It's in searches. It's in encyclopedias. How Eratosthenes, mind you, they do cover their arse a little bit, because I think they do say he calculated the circumference of Earth, which is correct. He did calculate it. He didn't measure it, though. It was a calculation after flat Earth measurements and a presupposition of a globe. So they do tell you, but if you blink a little bit, you miss it, like we all did.
We missed it for years, one deck. And that's the problem. Now it's not a problem. We see it, we spot it, we call it out. And they don't like that. They want us to get, now they're deliberately missing it, or maybe they're not seeing it because they seem to just keep doing it.
Yep. I've noticed this. I don't know whether it's just they've all been round the globe table saying, right, obviously the guys on FED, telling us how Earth's measured with elevation, angle, sea level, altitude. We know they've banned the words sea sextant and theodolite because that's nothing to do with measuring Earth curvature. But what we'll do, instead of addressing that, we're just going to carry on using them terms, and we'll just be blatantly saying that, yeah, we are measuring a horizontal and, vertical and plumb. Yeah, we do need a horizontal. But, we're still measuring curvature. That's all they can do now is just play absolute stupid. And then that gets you into the realms of staying in the lion's cage, fighting about stupid things and not moving forward.
Yes, well, what it'll get you is that chart that I posted in Master B. Does anybody feel like looking at that stupid chart? When I seen that, I was like, oh my God. Are people really going to freaking argue? Like,
If you
are they
draw a
not
pair of
paying
tits on it,
attention?
I'll give it a look.
But did someone say tits? What am I looking at? Sorry?
It's like we're saying now about, like, what, it's flat. We know it's flat. So what's the point? We know it's flat. We know it's measured. We can talk about it. Give the examples like we've just been talking about, right? If you believe, it's a globe, well, you carry on doing that then. You don't have to fight about it. In your mind, you've got a curved sea level. You can use elevation angle measuring equipment to measure curvature. If you want to think you can do that, carry on. You don't have to fight with us about it. Just carry on believing it. Get on with your day. But they don't, do they? They were fighting it.
Fighting it tooth and nail and getting mad that we're not fighting with them anymore.
Yeah, because we've progressed now and moved forward to, pardon the pun, a different level. And they're thinking, what's going on here? Something's altered. Something's changed. Don't like this change. We was happy where we was. Everything.
Yeah, but it's a good change. It's a chill change. Whoever argues about changing to chill?
Oh yeah, we know that, but they don't like that because they was happy arguing about and getting us to argue about what horizontal, about definitions, not practical, examples, physical evidence of measurements. They wanted to argue over what level meant, and a theodolite can measure curvature. No, it can't. It doesn't do that. It's not designed to do that.
There's no in Seattle. Did you hear the other day? There's no A in Seattle. There's no A in Seattle.
But they wanted you to argue about that, the pronunciation, the spelling, how you interpret this tool. So they're keeping you, they're trying to prevent us from moving forward, but that's now stopped. Because we're in control now. We're the narcissists now.
Only if you lord it over them. I mean, if that's your intention, then, you've got nefarious intent regardless. But I don't necessarily, now that I realise how inconsequential these people are, I don't intend to lord anything over them. It's like
We're not claiming to have any bearing on any of this.
Well, no, exactly. We don't.
No, we've got sea level, And that's the 0 degree baseline for all elevation profiles on Earth. I mean, that's all I know. That's how Earth's measured from sea level. Just how it is. That's what we've had to do. That's all we had to do. You know, that's all we was given for the starting point for measurements was a 0 degree baseline called, mean sea level. We're not making it up, are we?
No. But well, even more literal than you meant that to come out. We aren't making anything up, are we? It's not ours. No. We didn't come up with it. We didn't create it. We're not utilising it in most instances. But suddenly we've been put up on this pedestal, like how theodolite gets pronounced is consequential when a YouTuber's using a theodolite. I'm not. But, you know, like I say, popping us up on a pedestal means that they can knock it off it and make themselves great in the process. It's like delusional psychology.
Yeah. And that's where I've not found anything yet because, I don't know, looking blue, searching on the internet now, you know what it's like. But I would like to, I might have to try and buy a few books, but I would like to get into that. I don't know, cog this, you know, that's part of it. But the psychological dilemma that these people are going through, I think it'd be interesting.
Yeah, we need our own Tony Hill.
I think it's like what Nathan was saying with somebody else. They're like that ex that won't, you know, they always try to find a reason to break the ice, to go back in time, or when you feel indifferent about them. It's like you don't hate them, you know, you don't love them anymore, but you know they're like it's indifferent. Like you see them, you see them. They pass and go. It don't matter, but they always got to do something to try to make themselves relevant, to try to spark up an argument, to try to make themselves relevant to you or significant to you in your life. That's how they are now. They just, you know, they want to be petted. They need attention. They're attention whores.
That's ego, isn't it? Ego.
Yeah. Yeah.
So about them and themselves and how, you know, how important they are and the information they've got, and you know the information I've got is can prove you wrong because I'm more important than you and I've got more intelligence than you, and I can repeat things that I've been taught at school about the heliocentric model and I can rhyme things off and it must be correct. So you're just a flat Earth idiot, and that's it. But once you know that the Earth's measured flat, like you say, with the argument's over, we've won and come out triumphant. You know, it's difficult now for them. Where do they go now? What are they going to do? Mind you,
where do we go now, sweet child?
Good tune, that, yeah. Still on a few listens. I've still on a few listens to the Dirtbag song. I've still enjoying the Dirtbag song, to tell you the truth. I've had it on a few times.
Good, isn't it? I sing along to it all the time. I'm singing to it, humming along today.
That's where do we go now? Not where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Project. Where do we go
the bloody music maestro. But I like I like it when he breaks down. I like the 2 tickets to Antarctica, baby. I like that lyric when he gets into that.
I thought he was doing the Eddie Money song. I've got 2 tickets to paradise. How you doing a different song? That's a perfect one for 2 tickets to Antarctica.
Spoiling the moment, will you?
To pack your bags, we'll leave tonight. You know, Eddie Money had that raspy voice.
Listen, you spoil our dreams of Weezer and ruin that about the name of the group. Now you're doing this to us. We're just saying the song's a good song.
Actually, it's Sweetest.
He had the wrong band name.
Come on, Nathan. You should.
I've got 2 tickets to paradise. That's just slip in Antarctica. It doesn't fit though. Antarctica's like paradise is two what do you call them things? Syllables. Antarctica is what, 3?
Baby.
I got 2 tickets to Antarctica. That don't fit.
It's 2 tickets to Antarctica, baby.
Yeah, it sounds great when that comes in. It's really nice how that gets delivered. I like that.
Antarctica. I've got 2 tickets to Antarctica, baby.
I got 2 tickets to Antarctica, baby. Don't be calling our song, mate.
I've got 2 tickets to Antarctica. Won't you pack your bags? We'll leave tonight.
The computer crashed earlier.
I mean,
first time it's done it in about 2 years.
Was it driving the car?
What's going on?
Entropy, perhaps?
Nah, this is Nathan. Are you sure nobody's sneaking into your house and causing damage?
No.
Just on it was funny. I mean, I was talking to Neil when I came across that Bev debate, Neil, like I sent you. I was just scrolling.
That was years ago.
I know, but listen, this is what I'm trying to explain. If you let me finish, I was just scrolling through. It pops up. I thought I'll just have a quick listen, and I was thinking to myself, "Fucking Bev's doing a fucking belting job here." Like he sounds like a fucking flat earth. He's like proper flat earther talking about horizontal elevation above sea level. Yeah, you know, that's where all elevation comes from, sea level. I'm thinking, fucking hell, he's changed his fucking tune. I'm thinking, and then I put a comment on because they was getting triggered tune, and the other guy was getting triggered at about 28 minutes. I thought, please, hell, Bev's doing a pretty good job here. And then I looked. I'm thinking, the other comments are 3 years old. That can't be right. Why is the comments at 3 years? It's fucking 3 years old. The video.
Yeah, that's when he went. That's when he was talking to the surveyor, right?
Yeah, the main surveyor.
Yeah, that was good. Nathan used to promote him. Nathan used to freaking shout him out.
Yeah, he was doing a bloody good job there. It's exactly what we're saying, and he had them wrapped up around his little finger about the horizontal and the 3 sticks being at a certain height above sea level along the canal, and it's a horizontal line. They're trying to say horizontal. They're trying to say elevation isn't horizontal. They're coming out of all sorts of bullshit, and Toon kept jumping in because they knew Bev had him round his finger. I'm thinking, Bev, you used to be all right, mate.
Yeah, there's something really weird about that whole crew there. You know what I mean? It's like you can't go from saying that to not saying horizontals prove globe. There's something very nefarious going on there.
Yeah, something not right. From when he was talking 3 years ago, when I listened to that and I thought it was recent, I thought, you're doing a good job here, Bev. I'm behind you. I'm going to back you up on this, mate. And then I realised he was 3 years old. But what's changed with him? Horizontal can't change. It's got to be his mind, because nothing, the axiomatic principles he was talking about hasn't changed. It's obviously his mind that's changed and his outlook. Because you can't change what he was saying about horizontal. You can't change what he was saying about a vertical height above sea level, which is what we're saying all the time. That's what he was saying. Now that can't change. Only your opinion of that can change.
Maybe I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt here, but if horizontal exists to any degree whatsoever, then the Earth's not a globe. So it's like if you're just trying to get somebody to concede that horizontal exists, then you can't have a globe.
Yep, that's concise.
So it's like, okay, you want your globe, you want to live in a contradiction where horizontal proves the globe, then I guess we'll just part ways where you live in a contradiction because you can't have horizontal on or above a globe.
No, and like we've said for years now, and we've just been talking about it. Any measurement of Earth, example, whether it be someone saying this is how the globe was measured or not, is we'll be using the surface of Earth for the horizontal for elevation angle measurements and distances between 2 points, which is a linear horizontal distance. So whichever way you look, all roads lead to a flat Earth, basically.
You should send Bev that video one day. Say, what happened to you, mate?
I was absolutely thinking, oh man, I'm glad wow, what's going on here? He sounds mint. And Toon was getting wound up. The main surveyor they started like ad hominem, butting in. You could see the tactics coming in because he was getting onto some really good points. And they realised that, and they were trying to get onto different subjects and steer him away from his point. And he was good because he kept on his point and kept going back to his point. And I thought he did a great job. It's just a shame you can't do fuck all with an angle anymore.
You can do fuck all with an angles. What you got to do is next time, if he ever is in and going at it with Nathan or whatever, you need to come in and start like quoting him from his video. Have him all lay out there and say, "What about this, Bev?"
Listen, I'm not one for shouting and doing things like that on the show, Neil. You know that. Don't like shouting and screaming over. I'm not going to shout and scream over Nathan.
Yeah, me either. Until Nathan starts freaking breaking faces, then he gets us all riled up. Fucking nose. I was like, yeah, I want to kick some ass. Come here, you little old lady.
It'd be a good video to go over that, the Bev and main surveyor, because Bev will probably watch it and we could just say, well, Bev's saying correct things. This is exactly correct, Bev. You know, you do need a horizontal. You will be established in the horizontal, and the height and the elevation and the datum is all in relationship to sea level. And he actually said mean sea level, which was correct. So he's saying exactly what we all know about how the Earth's measured.
Nathan.
Yes?
Yeah?
I've got the title of your next book.
What's that?
The Complete Psychology of Train Spotting.
Oh,
That's what we'll be doing the next 10 years.
Well, according to certain party, Nathan's way behind because he's been since the first time they spoke.
Say that again.
A certain party said Nathan is way behind with the psychoanalysis because he's been psychoanalyzing Nathan since their first conversation.
Right.
You got people sweating you, Nathan. I'd make sure my doors are locked at night.
Yeah. Need to get into some psychoanalysis. Right.
Let me get the exact words. He is years behind on making psychological profiles. I have been doing it since the first time I spoke to him. That would be, hello? 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 Can you hear me?
Of course, I would have that the analogy like Guy gave earlier about him watching the same movie every day and complaining how bad it is.
Yep,
That
that's
fits him
it, man.
so well.
You know, I missed that one when he came off mic and he forgot he was using his regular voice. How pathetic is that? They become different personalities to try and be a part of this show.
But the wanker always shines through.
Crazy, isn't it? When you look back over the
Nathan?
years, like.
Hello? Nathan? Hello?
It's to psychoanalyze. What would that like to find out what drives them? I mean, that's already been answered. We got that answer a while ago.
Sorry, mate. Say that again.
Who's this?
Like just I don't know. Neil's playing with the kids.
No, that was me saying Victory Royale.
Oh. They're all just. I mean, it depends on who you're talking about. You're talking about the anti-flat earther or just some regular person, but they're all just atheists. I mean, that's the psychology behind it.
Wicked.
And narcissists, to tell you the truth. They all behave like narcissists, atheists. There's a psychological dilemma going on, but we need to delve into this, I think, a little bit.
Oh, yeah. You got people telling me, you're not a Christian to be sitting in the presence of someone who would speak that way with his wife and children in the next room. I'm an atheist, and I'm more Christian than you. You freaking contradicting moron.
How dare they? Do they know I just got Victory Royale?
Yeah, we are the victorious ones.
Right, I'm going to round out. With that, another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus panels for making today's after show possible. But more importantly, a massive thank you to all of you for helping me to make my way to 2,500 shows. What a massive, monumental achievement that is. So thank you very much to everybody who has supported me, hit the PayPal links, joined as a Patreon, smashed the super chat, left super thanks, all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and hopefully I'll see you in another 2,500 videos.
But when you measure it flat, it contradicts that. I'm spitting flat facts and that. And I know you don't like that. Google Maps is flat, it presents elevation profiles like that. I'm a spitting flat earth king. Sentence has a ring, doing my own thing. If earth was a big roast chicken, factually finger licking chicken. We just got the measurements missing. I'm spitting eggs and begs, begging the question lesson. I've said it before, time after time. I'm the spitting flat earth king of rhyme.